Get retweet going.
Oh, I got. What's up, everybody? Should be able to hear us for the pre-show. Just gonna get a tweet out for the show. Right yet, we were talking about stuff and touch on it on air real fast, but I talked through it yesterday. The whole thing that I just told you on stream, I talked through it yesterday, and I just broke on stream. Like I just broke. But it's a little bit cathartic to keep kind of working through it. It sucks, but it does help a little bit.
Yeah, no,
little is here and there. So
yeah, healing, man. It's about healing. That's how you get through.
Typing out the tweet, and then we'll be ready, everybody. So if you guys are here, we should be live on both Twitch and Twitter, or both. I wish I could be live on Twitter. I still got to figure out how Season Gaming does that. I asked him once, but it didn't quite make sense. I gotta. Because sometimes you have you can just go like live and watch it like in Twitter. And it was
within Twitter, I believe it's. I forgot we remember what the app Restream. One of them applications.
Oh, it's probably something like that.
Yeah, it's one of them things that give you the option in as well. No doubt. Holla yay. What's going on? What's going on? Thank you. Good to see you. The geeks. Bill Bentz, Prescott. Good to see you. Let's get that going. Go to the last one.
Almost done with it.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time. Take your time. Alex dies twice. Salute. All right.
There we go. All right, it's out.
All right, cool. Let me get that. I know. I knew it was all Harry's. I knew it. It was funny seeing it. He said, "I forgot I changed my name."
They're actually doing an offline mode for Nightingale. What? Yeah, we'll talk about what I've been playing.
What?
That's actually an interesting. Technology-wise, I got to play with the devs for a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got to. We'll talk about all that here.
All right.
Find the tweet.
Retweets going.
Yeah, some of the people you have followed on the Last Word account, then now that I have Last Word on my phone, logged in there, some random stuff pops up from like who you've got, like Tim Dog and other stuff on there on the Last Word account. So I don't know if you have alerts set up on Last Word.
You know what's crazy? I don't have alerts set up on the Last Word account, and I noticed that as well. Like it'll just like highlight to me stuff, and I'm like, I don't even have the notifications where they tweet. You know, like when you follow someone you like and you click that thing, I want to know every time they tweet. So it's something that the algorithm is doing based on the follows of the account. If you want,
if they're big enough. No, I mean, I was like, for that one, that's fine. Nice. Tales of Kinzera Zhao is going to be at IGN Fan Fest.
Yeah.
What was the other one I saw was going to be at Fan Fest? I've already seen No Rest for the Wicked. I saw that 9-minute boss fight. That looks fantastic because it's almost like a Souls isometric, and I'm like, I'm so there for that. I keep trying to. I need to figure out a contact for them. Might have to bug you about that. We'll see. But
we'll talk.
I did reach out. There's the other one, Windblown, the Dead Cells people. I do have a contact for that one.
Nice.
So I've already kind of like, I worked with her on Ultros on Pacific Drive. Like we'll talk about stuff.
We'll talk.
So last week we talked about some of the stuff we've been playing.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Aries, how you doing, sir? Hopefully you're doing well. Most of y'all, hopefully most everybody in this chat right now is doing better than me. Let's just say that. So we'll get to that, but have some stuff that from DCP Twitter when they post tweets Thursday night. They get stuff. Yeah. That's very odd.
It's very odd. It's like it's forcing some type of engagement based on follows. Yeah.
Then I click and I'm like, which account am I in?
Yeah, then you got to check, and then that's sometimes I don't respond from the Last Word account. I'm like, oh no, I don't want this to come from that. I want this to come from me. Yeah, you always got to check. It could be multiple account handling. If you have multiple accounts on one phone, that kind of thing could be.
Yeah. I'll dig into it. It's not that big of a deal. It's just like pop-ups I don't expect to see. I'm like, I don't.
Yes, I'm like, I don't
have like alerts on for this person. I don't need that. I don't need it. I don't need it to be that intense of a
Yeah.
Go look at this.
No doubt.
All right. Yeah. Everybody good? Silence on the set. Two
Yes.
giant heads over here on screen, so I think we're good. I think my head looks a little too big over here. Be a little more normal sized.
What are we looking?
You look a little
good.
blurry, by the way.
Yeah,
Like, try
that is
and check
weird.
your focus.
Check
like
my focus. What's crazy is I'm looking at on Discord. I'm lit, but the stream.
now it's clear. Okay, it's better.
Oh, it cleared out.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yep. It fixed itself. Yep. I see.
All right.
Nice.
Silence on the set. 5, 4.
All right, and we are live. The last word, LordCognito, Ebontis. No tie guy traps this day. You know, we got to see how our little
He's
wayward
under that
child is
secret
doing.
NDA travel, probably, but you never know.
NDA traveler. So we throwing it back flashpoint style with the cheetah. How we doing, sir? First of all, before we get into that, you know, we do know how you're doing, and I just want to say, you know, again, rest in peace to our good friend to the campfire, Raya. Obviously, I just want to speak briefly. You know, I was very fortunate to get a chance to meet Raya and the pups and everyone else, and I distinctly remember the sass, the little attitude. She took a little while to warm up to me.
Yeah.
She didn't want me to pet her at first, and you just told me, okay, Carl, give it a little time. Then she circled back, and then it was all good. And obviously, I know you've been going through it as far as with her health and checking on the status of her. And then obviously the news broke, and us as as a community, we really want to send our love to you because I know how much you care for her, how much you care for those dogs. And I just want to say, man, like I know the feeling, and you're getting the love from me. So how you holding up? It's been a rough couple of days for you.
It's been really rough. So for me, I can say I've had a sheltered experience so far in the world of grief. I did lose an aunt in October, November. She's probably one of the closest to me. She's kind of moved with my parents. She was my mom's sister, and she went through tons of like multiple cancer treatments over the years, surgeries. Like she had a rough fight. But she finally passed towards the end of last year, and she just was to the point where, you know, kind of went. But yeah, Raya, she was my first dog I've ever had. First dog ever. And yeah, like yesterday on stream, for any of you guys that were there on Twitch while I was streaming Nightingale, started for about the first hour. Somebody asked, hey, what happened? I went through the whole story, but I was broken during telling that story. So there's been waves of emotions and tears and crying. I already told you guys I cry at movies. So something like this, I'm going to just absolutely be busted. And I knew it. I had told people, I was like, first time this happens, I'm going to be pretty useless. And I was. But it does help a little to talk through it. We're trying to just celebrate the good times more than the bad. Right. And we, you know, are trying to look at some of the silver linings. You always hope you could do more, but in her situation, she had an autoimmune disease, so she already had that was working against her, and everything that kind of transpired. She was home, she was with her family, and she didn't suffer long. It was probably about 2 days where it was kind of the labored breathing that was a struggle, and she was home. Everybody was in the same room together, and
yeah, no, I hear you, brother, and I just felt for you because you know, seeing it, you know, obviously in real time.
I was kind of there. Like I watched kind of the struggle she was going through, and it was, you know, low red blood cell count, anemia, lack of oxygen. Like that's not a way I want anybody to go. That's why I'm glad it was short. But also, like, she was hurt at the end. As you said, she was sassy, she was spunky. She always had a bit of an attitude. She was hilarious.
She moved ahead.
Oh yeah, no, like even on like her last night, we were all hanging out in kind of the living room, just hanging out, watching TV, just chilling because we weren't entirely sure what because I took a video of her and took her up to the vet because they were just about to close, but I was like, hey, can you look at this like and see? Because I called to try and talk to one of the two vets that had seen her, and I was like, hey, can you see? What does this look like? I know this is how it sounds. I can only Google so much, but I showed it to her, and she's like, now, obviously, I can only diagnose her, but from what I see, you know, that does look like labored breathing.
Right.
And labored breathing versus panting, very different thing. If you want to look it up, you can, but it's just a struggle for just breath. And that was the low red blood cell count. For the science people, red blood cell, hemoglobin takes oxygen to your body. Kind of an important thing. We all don't last long without it. So that was a struggle. But I mean, like Friday, we took her to the vet, had blood work, because she had like a little loss of appetite, got her on some meds, got a little uptick in the numbers on Friday, but then like Sunday and Monday, it happened fast. So it was rough. It was quick, but we were home together, and it's kind of the silver lining. They offered to maybe do like, put her in a hospital for like 4 days or something. And I'm like, I would have felt a different type of terrible and sad if she had passed alone by herself in a hospital without anybody around. So, both of us and the dogs all together. And while it's rough to kind of have to deal with some of that yourself, we had 11 and a half, literally like 6 months, 6 weeks old to 11 and a half years. So
yeah,
it was, no, I was just going to say, it was like, for a first dog, I always wanted a husky, and I got a really good one to start. But the attitude, that's what I was trying to say. Like, so it's like, yeah, I'm going to be a little weepy, but like her attitude to the last day, like you'd like give her a pet or like reach up to pet her head, and she'd like duck away from you because she was always like, I'm good. You'd always kind of have to ease up into the pets and like come from the side. I'm good. I'm good. I've got enough snuggles. I'm good. Like,
that's a fact.
So she was still that literally on her final night. So she was her from start to finish. Like she would do the thing where she wouldn't like go over to the door and like woof at you. She would just walk over to the door, like to go outside and just stare at you.
Just
She's like look at you.
Starer. Yeah, I remember that.
So her eyes were filled with attitude the whole time. So it was
when I came through. When I came through, I visited you and I spent the night there. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you stayed in our guest room. Yeah,
because I came through for SWAT's wedding. I was like, oh, well, I'm in Texas,
drove. Yep.
Yeah, and I drove to you. And I never forget the stare, like, who are you, human? What are you? What? State your business. Yeah. And then it was a little light ground. I was like, oh, this not gonna go good. Because at first, I think Enzo and everyone was fine. Enzo was fine.
Yeah, Enzo was good. Like, Midnight wasn't here when you came through. So.
Yeah, Midnight wasn't there at the time, right? So Midnight didn't. But yeah, I remember. I was like, all right, Wolves. Okay, I see you, girl. Look, I'm here in peace. Yeah. But then eventually, she came over on her own, and I'll never forget. I was so happy because I usually don't have an issue with animals, but yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's rough. It's closest it's ever hit me, and I mean for us, me and my wife, all we've got's dogs. So yeah, they are our fur babies. That's like kind of a joke, especially with huskies because they're covered in fur. So. But we've got Enzo and Midnight, and I mean, they were there. I mean, that's one thing too, like people are telling me, it's like, try and have them around. But part of my issue is also, it's like, if you have to make that tough decision, which I was also not really wanting to do, and in total stubborn Raya fashion, she's like, you guys aren't going to make this call for me. I got this. Like, I mean, she fought as hard as she could.
Yeah,
that final night, I even told her, it was like, hey, if you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah,
but
respect.
Yeah, she's no more pain. She's in a better place.
Yeah, respect, man. Again, we love you, E. And like I said, we always thinking about you this week. And that's why we even told you, I was like, look, bro, take as much time as you need. But then we came to the decision, okay, maybe we do the show and just kind of get it out. And then from a distraction standpoint, talk about what's going on in the game and stuff like that. But I definitely wanted to send my love. And again, rest in peace, Raya. Definitely missed. Personality to the end, and what a ride. And I think what you realize too is you celebrate all the fun times. You had her as a pup, all the funny moments, her stealing food and pizza.
Oh my God, I was telling you before the show. So if you picture like pizza, I would always get for the long. It's like just one of the random frozen pizzas I would like. It was the Freschetta brick oven, so it's like a square, and it was just like their brick oven pepperoni because it was like for frozen pizza. If you get like the really thick crust, you're eating a loaf of bread. But if you don't want a cracker either, and it was like this kind of nice medium. I set one of those on the counter, and like, we push it back on the kitchen counter or whatever. And then like my wife and I went to go, believe me, I think both Midnight and her have been paws up. We came back, half of that cheese was gone. She had stripped half of the cheese off of that pizza. You can see like little chew marks on the edge of the crust. Damn thing was clean. So now granted, she learned she didn't poop for like 2 days. So, little constipation from the cheese. She learned. I think the one time I was actually a little annoyed because she stole salmon off the counter. I was like, yo,
that's wild.
I was like, nuh-uh, you ain't stealing our fish. So.
The salmon stealer.
Yeah. Oh, no. Unfortunately, all of our dogs are not very good at hiding things. You'll just always find them. They're in their kennel. They're like, they already know. Like, we don't punish them in there. They just shoot like
Just
her
dirty
or
doors.
ends it. They're like, all right,
Go
I'm
to
in
the
here.
penalty box. Go to the penalty box.
Yeah. Whole
Oh,
pizza,
man.
constipated for like 3 days. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it takes a little while for pizza to go through. Yeah. We don't do human feed. We don't do, chicken. It's hilarious. I will tell you, like dogs, like at least our huskies, vegetables are carrots, man. I will start like peeling or cutting a carrot and they're like, shink. I'm like cutting up an apple and they are glued to me. The funniest stuff over like the healthiest food. You're like, now there's some food you're not supposed to feed dogs, like avocados and certain things and grapes. Like certain things are bad, but just like basic vegetables, like what's this? And they're just chomping down. Yeah,
that's hilarious. I love it.
But yeah, I will say like because like Electric Fish is in chat and saying their Doberman's turning like 9 this year. Oldest cat's 16. It's just something that it's facing, and it's hard. And I know you and I talked a little bit before the show. We've still got 2 more. Enzo's 10. He's a champ, man. He's got the cleanest 10-year-old teeth of a dog I've ever seen. But for the longest time, Enzo flossed his teeth. I shit you not. He had this like little jester ball toy with these just like a jester hat with like the 4 kind of thing. He would take those. He would not destroy the toy. He would just like pull it between his teeth. It was the funniest thing. Yeah, the dude was flossing. Wow. So he's had some like avocado's really bad for a dog actually. So don't do that. So like he's still pretty healthy, and then Midnight's obviously 2-ish. We don't know his exact age, but 2 something. Yeah. But like when we got Midnight, Enzo lost weight.
Really?
Because he kept him playing the whole time. He wore his ass out.
Kept him active. Yeah.
And so like there was a point where we took Enzo. They're like, hey, he could use to lose about 5 pounds or so. So we trimmed his like food a little bit. And then we went back to the vet and they're like, oh, you listen. Because apparently people don't listen about trying to get their dogs to a little bit more healthy weight. So we're like, hey, we tried. But apparently we had kind of maintained that. And then we got Midnight and they're just like playing like crazy.
Like crazy.
And yeah, and they're at that point, he's lower than normal. You probably just feed him normal now. So nice. So it's like the grief still may hit them. For my sister, she's been through a couple. And she told me it's just, she knows she's been there. It's brutal for her too. And but she said the dogs may take up a couple weeks to realize it. I'm glad they were home though, because it's you don't want them sitting by the door waiting. You don't want them waiting for the dog to come home. So it's a lot of tough stuff. There's a couple good quotes, but one of the shortest ones, surprisingly, that I just kind of came across and saw and remembered recently was from the God of War Ragnarok. And it was, to grieve deeply is to have loved fully.
Yes, absolutely.
And I was like, it hurts this much because I think she knows we loved her that much.
Yeah, it's a celebration of life.
Yep.
And that's what it is, because you know how much you truly care.
Yeah.
And to me, pets, those are your best friends, because it's undying loyalty.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they ask for
what.
They're like, hey, if you feed me, unconditional love the whole way.
Unconditional, no matter what you're going through, we're not going to have an attitude with you. Regardless, we are there for you, and that's
I always
the
had a
thing
little
that you
attitude, but
well, Riot's
under the attitude, it was under the attitude. It was still there. We know she always did this thing. Actually, I haven't thought about this yet. So my wife and I would wherever we'd just give each other a hug and kiss kind of thing in the kitchen. She'd always walk between us and be in the hug.
Really?
Yep. That was her like subtle way to like be in the hug, but not be like hugged.
Hug.
Yeah, so like my wife and I, and there's always just enough room. She'd walk away between us, and that was her way to be part of the hug. But it was her choice. Right. As with everything in her life, all the way to the end, it was her choice.
Oh, it's her way. She's gonna do it her way.
So, let the boys outside, close the door, sit down. Then she walks over to the door. She's like, "Well, it's my time now." Just truly.
The sad.
Sad times, and it hurts. It sucks. There's no way to get over it. But I will tell you, the good times they're great.
Yeah.
Like 11 and a half years. I wouldn't trade it. This will suck.
Yeah.
We will move forward.
Don't trade it for the world.
But yeah.
No doubt. So. What's going on in the world, man, besides all this craziness you going through?
Besides that mess. Sorry, everybody who started out and somebody's like listening to this podcast in their car. Like I went through the story yesterday and I was just bawling as I told it. Somebody in chat, I think it was a bullet away or something, was like, I'm not over here crying in tears, or no, not me.
Yeah, it's real.
There we go. What is grief if not love persevering? See, exactly. Like there are a couple of those short WandaVision. I do remember that one too. Like there are a couple of those little short ones that sounds like bullet. I don't even know the reference that well, but That's funny. No, I've been playing a whole bunch of different stuff.
Oh, all right.
So
What you been playing?
I've been playing Nightingale
Right.
to put out. I put out an hour-long tips video because there's so much about that game. It's. Do you know much about Nightingale or not?
Too much.
Okay, so if you don't know, there are no onion ninjas anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, the onions everywhere. So many onions being chopped in my office right now. So Nightingale is a crafting survival game, and they call it Gas Lamp Fantasy.
Okay.
So instead of steampunk, where it's more mechanically, gears and everything, the gas lamp is like that kind of timing and like genre of time. But if you twist it to have more fae and magic and stuff involved.
Okay.
So it's kind of a twist. And then the idea is it's a crafting survival game and you got different realms. You go through your tutorial and your first main realm is where your base will be. And you can literally fast travel to there from literally anywhere on the map at any point. There's no cooldown. And also if you're in another realm, because what you have are cards to create a realm. So you'll have, say, like a forest card, but then one's called like Antiquarian or Astrolab. And so you'll take a forest for like a biome, and then it's going to put this major card with it. And then that's going to create a realm. And it's procedurally generated.
Okay.
It's hosted on dedicated servers. So it's 6-player co-op as well, or up to 6 total. So like if you all have the same base realm and I go and I make like a portal, you can all go with me. You can visit it later. It's asynchronous as well. I don't have to be on for you to play.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So like if we have this base realm, you can work on stuff while I'm gone. I can work on stuff while you're gone. So the co-op piece is really cool. It's $30. It's early access. There is definitely some early access to it. So it's a little rough around the edges. A lot of first person. So first person combat, it feels decent. First person combat's not easy. And again, it's probably not like the best I've probably seen, but first person melee combat is not something I just frequent anyway. But then you got like first person, like a little marble crossbow, almost like a slingshot crossbow. Then you get to a pistol. But there's a moment where you can do like a quick fan of the pistol where you just hold like it's kind of bonus fire and it has like 4 rounds. And it's just like, and it actually feels really cool. It's like the sound's well done. Then you'll get into like axes later on and you've got multiple levels of tiers of stuff that you'll go through. It's got a lot of potential. And I think right now for $30, you can get a cool experience in it and a good grind. And for your survival game, the crafting is very in-depth, which some people may like. Some people may find it too tedious. I'm somewhere kind of in the medius. I'm somewhere, in the middle. Because if you need to refine something to say like the 3rd tier, you need to start with the base thing, then refine it to this, and then refine it to this. So there's layers and steps to it. But also there's little things like if I'm going to craft, hey, you took down a boar or whatever, or you took down a wolf. Well, if one is like prey versus a predator, for example, when you go to make like cook meat for a meal or something, well, the predator one's going to give you a little bit more health bonus that lasts for a cooldown for a little while. And that comes into later on, depending on which pieces of like resources and stuff you put together when you craft your gear and other things, you're actually going to be able to lean more into a build of, say, maybe you want more range or you want more speed, and then you've got buffs. Like there is a ton of absolute depth and like customization to your character. And by the time you get done, and then when it comes to the realms, you're able to make all these realms and you can go venture in there, do all that. You come back, you can make another one, and it's all procedural. So you go in there and they have these little spots to it, but I think it's like a foundation. Some of them are ex-BioWare devs. So, I mean, I know you know. So, there's it's an interesting world. And like the main character, your like main kind of fae guy to interact with, he's probably not supposed to help you, but he's doing it anyway. He is such a smug character, but the voice actor absolutely crushes it. Like the one for Puck, like does a really, really good job. Medius, great new word. Yeah, I don't even know what to do with that word, but yeah, medius, great new word. So I put about 20 hours into that on the early servers. I played some with the devs. I actually got to play with them a little bit.
That's dope.
Both like if you get through the early access, they took and showed like late game stuff where there was like, hey, here's like blue level gear, which blue would actually take a while too because I barely got the green.
Same Destiny style structure as far as the
and then purple gets up there. I think is some of the higher stuff. Yeah, blue, green, or green, blue, purple. I don't know if there's anything above that.
wonder who pioneered that. Would we say Destiny or was Borderlands doing that before?
Borderlands is probably doing. I mean, hell, Diablo 1 probably did some of that stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
I was just
I mean,
curious because
it's
it's funny that
World
the
of
color
Warcraft for
distinction
sure. Yeah, those
have remained the same.
choices. Yeah,
Yeah.
green is like white, green, blue,
Yeah.
purple, some yellow, orange.
Orange tinge.
Yeah, and then if you go past that, then you get to weird stuff like black or red or whatever. I don't know. I usually don't see much past that.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah,
shout out to 3G. He said WoW always had it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, WoW did. Yeah, that's probably where I saw it the most. But yeah, I mean,
no doubt.
Old school Diablo. So that's one. I think there's a lot of potential there, as it's $30 early access. You can have a good time in there if survival crafting is your thing and you understand some of the depth to what it's going to offer.
Right.
Definitely has a lot of potential. Is it going to be for everybody? No. But as the early access, like there's biomes like the forest, desert, and there's environmental effects like rain, you'll get wet, so you have less stamina. You have an umbrella that you can walk around in, but guess what? That umbrella, you jump off a ledge, a little bit of magic, now you float like Mary Poppins.
Oh, okay, now you Mary Poppins.
Yeah. Desert, if you're in the shade, you're good. If you're in the sun, you get hot.
Right.
In the swamp, there's like poison swamp, stuff like that. And there's like all those little systems, there's so much that already works. When you go to craft, you have the materials on you as opposed to pulling from your storage. That is one of the first things they're going to change, I promise you. Like that type of stuff.
I hate what games.
No, believe me. It's like when one of the presentations from one of the higher ups there, when I was doing one of those pieces, it was like, yeah, you can blame this one on me. We're working on it. Like this is like kind of their passion. Because they like the realistic survival, and it's like there's a point after a while. It's like quality of life. Come on,
quality of life, bro. Yeah. Nice. It's been pretty much just that.
And then the other one I've been playing is I played some Helldivers. That is actually a blast.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't got into it yet.
Helldivers is hella fun. Like hella fun is a stupid way to say it, but stupid co-op. But even if you do random match-made co-op, you can still have a pretty good time. Solo early on to get a feel for it, but after that, you're going to need teammates. But between the depth and countering enemies and just the way they lean into for democracy and liberty and all the just over-the-top Starship Troopers.
Yeah, that's the vibe. I like the vibe.
The vibe is so there. Because there's a point where you're like, for democracy, and you just like shove a stim pack into you. And it's just all of that for liberty and all of those stupid little moments, like perfectly lean into the vibes. So Helldivers is good, but that was like Travis and I kind of talked about that last week some. The other one I've been playing, I was actually playing a lot today. I think I'm probably 14 hours in now to the real build. Like I actually got to preview Pacific Drive back in January.
Oh, okay.
And now I've been playing that on full release. This is the one with the station wagon, the exclusion zone in the Pacific Northwest, and like crafting and upgrading survival roguelike with station wagon. The most weird, unique concept, but just
very unique. I remember this now. I'm looking at it now.
It's the ambient. It's the environment. Like when a windy storm is going on, the wind and the rain and the audio and just the way the vibe of it is always unsettling enough. And then every time you go out on a run, you have to gather up enough of these like kind of energy modules to be able to kind of make yourself a way to get back to your base. Well, as soon as you open one of those, hell breaks loose and you have a limited amount of time. Music starts ramping up. You got to drive a little faster. It gets a little chaotic. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to hit something. Yeah, it adds the tension to everything. And then as you're like driving through, then you barely get back with half a station wagon. Then you got to repair it. And then you start upgrading parts and gathering materials. And again, that's kind of,
I like the art style.
Huh?
I like the art style.
Yeah, it's like, it's not like high def graphics, but it's very stylistic. And just I'm in the middle zone of, there's an outer zone, which is a little more mild. I'm in the mid zone where things are worse. And there's still an interior zone. Haven't even seen it yet, but even in the mid zone right now, there are things that just I was sitting there and all of a sudden a poison storm passed over my car and was going about the same speed I was and I was trying to outdrive this poison storm, and my car is just melting outside of me. I'm just watching like the gauge of normally green, and then it's going to yellow and red, and my parts are just deteriorating as I drive. So again, I can't say either of these games are going to be for everybody. But they're both so different. But again, you've got survival and crafting in both very different ways. I mean, I'm leveling up a station wagon versus, axes and melee weapons, and And your armor's not big like steampunk or clunky armor. Your
Yeah.
armor is like coats and nice hats, and
Oh, okay,
you're
that's
like
for the time.
fancy, yeah, for the
Fancy,
time. So it's
yeah,
like a
for the
different
time.
spin. So
Mhm.
Nightingale and both Pacific Drive, they're both unique games, and I think there are people who are going to be able to find fun in both of them. The voice
Oh,
acting in Pacific Drive is well done because there's no people you see,
yeah.
all first person. Voice
Mhm,
acting, I think, is very well done for the three main characters that you interact with. And I
mhm.
think there's a fourth one who kind of does some lore things. But yeah, it's all this kind of, it's a lot of environmental storytelling and audio storytelling through the characters, kind of doing a one way talk over a radio to you.
Yeah, yep.
That they kind
Kinda
of
gives me,
build the
Firewalk vibes in that respect. I don't know if you ever played that game.
Firewatch.
Yeah, Firewatch.
Yeah, played it better in my opinion. Firewatch. Some
Yeah.
people loved Firewatch. I was okay on it. Kind of
Mhm.
like the radio messages with the lady and stuff that you were hoping to meet, and she
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, I was like, sorry.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think the voice work on this is for the characters, they really fit the bill. I think they did a good job
Yeah.
on those. So those are most of what I've been playing. Haven't touched Destiny too much in this week. I know last week I did a video for it.
Mhm.
How about you? Since I've been talking for
Yeah.
like I swear 25 minutes over
You have a
here
lot to get
between
out, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
it
good.
so I've like yeah, the embargo for both of those was on like on the 20th. I
Mhm.
missed both because that day was just gone.
Yeah, 'cause you've been going through
Um
it. Yeah, absolutely,
So I've been
absolutely.
trying to just catch back up, and the distractions help a little bit, and
Yeah,
hanging out with
absolutely.
stream and everything. You
Mhm.
Tekken, Yakuza like a
And
dragon, like where are you
yeah,
at right now?
so it was all about infinite wealth. Because when I got Tekken, I thought I was gonna just do Tekken, do the story, and then infinite wealth was gonna grab me, and then, that that was the plan, but then Tekken was so good that I didn't wanna stop playing, so it just kept me going, and then now I'm doing the competitive thing. Shout out to Sinister, I'm in the chat. We usually do player matches, and we're doing the PvP stuff, and it's just a blast. It is just so much fun, but now that I finally slowly got it out my system, I'm like, "Okay, now I can focus on," not that Tekken's out of my system, but now that it's not dominating the way I just didn't want to stop. I didn't want to play anything else but Tekken. What was happening? So now that I've kind of, okay, let me get to my responsibility. So yeah, I did Like a Dragon. Started that. Put in about 50 to 60 hours on
Beat it
it.
yet?
Yeah, beat it
Okay.
yesterday. Beat it yes, because the reason why I wanted to beat it is because I knew get it out this week because I know Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I know that's another
Yeah,
one I
that game
don't want
got
to miss.
some terrible reviews. You're not gonna want to jump first just straight into that thing.
Exactly. We see what's going on in the Metacritic, really highly rated.
Average like
So
literally 92 and 93 on Open and Metacritic merged to a 93 overall, like on
yeah,
both.
yeah,
It's
it's really cool to see. So that's on the radar. But yeah, Like a Dragon, really fun game. I mean, the JRPG and the turn-based combat is just masterclass in it. They really stepped the game, the movement around the characters, being able to attack, be able to position yourself, not just stationary turn-based, where you can move around. It's cinematic action kind of based turn-based, where you move around the characters. If you get behind them, you do back attacks, they do way more damage. Then what I like is if you build the relationships with your party, it actually makes them better fighters in the game.
oh, like
And
a
they ain't like you knock
companion
somebody down.
relationship
Mhm.
boost kind of thing.
Yes, you
Okay.
knock somebody down, they come over, they stomp them, they clean them up. You could do tag team moves together.
You
The,
knock
the
him down,
story,
they stomp him out. Wow, that's
oh yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And the mini games in this are absolutely hilarious. They have the Doko Island that's almost a straight up Animal Crossing in their game. They got this
was there a
addictive,
Pokemon thing? The
yes, it's called
Sujimon?
Sujimon, that's addictive. That got me just as enticed was as far as the main game, which is good. And then yeah, so pretty much the story is basically two separate games. It's like they merged two games together, and then you got two historic characters coming together. So it's a lot. It's a lot, but I thought they pulled it
So
off.
I
Yeah.
feel like at one point you said it though. If I was ever
Hmm.
gonna start into that series, I don't maybe
Like
I
a
mean,
Dragon 1.
yeah, I was gonna say Yakuza Like a
Hmm.
Dragon before they switched the name.
Yeah.
Now is the whole I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, because I've just probably
Hmm.
listened to enough people talk about it. Is Like a Dragon because the Ichiban?
Yes, Ichiban is the
He
new protagonist.
Kiryu's
They're no, 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 no.
Oh.
Kiryu and Ichiban said before Like a
I
Dragon, it
was
was
gonna
just
say I was
called
like because like is Kiryu kind of like dragon or whatever, and then he's like him. Is that kind of where the name is going
Oh, no,
for?
no, no, no. I know where
Oh,
you're going.
okay. I
No,
didn't
no,
know
no,
if
no.
that's
Okay, no,
like
no.
the play they were going for. I wasn't sure.
No, 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 no. They definitely didn't do that. They definitely, but I hear what you say. So basically, the series from Yakuza 0 all the way to 6 or whatever it was, that was Kiryu was the main protagonist. Like a Dragon comes out, Ichiban is the main protagonist, and then they change it to JRPG style turn based because the other games were just pure beat 'em
Yeah,
ups,
they were action. Yeah, with them.
action heavy. You know what I'm saying, with these cinematics and stuff. So yeah, I would say you could start at Like a Dragon. That's when the shift is. You can do the man who erased his name in the middle to fill you up with Kiryu as far as what's happening to him, and then that transitions right into Infinite Wealth where you have the Hawaii the Hawaii backdrop and everything else. So yeah, it's dope, man. They really pulled it off. Some pacing issues here and there, but overall, and the game is absolutely hilarious. It doesn't take itself seriously with some parts, and some parts are really
Oh,
tearjerkers.
I think it was Like a Dragon, whatever 7 is, I guess, since this is 8.
Mhm.
7,
Mhm.
there was some baby place. I don't even remember. I saw
That's
some random picture and I was like, I don't know what's happening in this game. This is the weirdest random thing
that
that's
is
going on.
literally the game. You're like, sometimes you're like, yo, what is this? Like the developers are having a ball.
They're just
They're
like,
not
whatever we
taking
can put in
themselves
here,
serious.
we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah, but then it has this balance of just being really emotional and fun and telling a deep, rich story about the Yakuza in Japan and the effect on the government, and then the old way of doing things versus the new way of doing things. Powerful stories. So yeah, and tearjerkers at the end. You're gonna want to care about these characters. So
Yeah, and
great game,
that's
got that done.
yeah, like if a game can make you care about characters, it's doing something right. Even if it's got the goofy around it, the fact that it can do
Mhm.
both is actually quite impressive.
Yeah,
I know, like, I mean,
absolutely.
both of those were 9s,
Mhm.
91, I think 90 and 91, 90, somewhere in there. And then
Yeah,
now you're batting 1,000 for the first couple of months because now your
yeah.
next follow up, from what I'm hearing, I listened to the IGN Beyond a little bit and I tried not to
Mhm.
get spoilery or anything, but I'm so far behind it wouldn't matter.
Mhm.
We got to I was listening to how long they played to review it.
Mhm.
I forget her name. One was like 120 hours, but they were close to finishing everything. Review
Mhm.
was like 80 hours. There's
Mhm.
there's something they get like sucked into and they wanted to complete it. So there's some multiple mini games in there. But yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, Metacritic dropped today and everything was like
Yeah,
93. You've got a
yeah,
you've got a bigger adventure, like 60 hours, I think, will
yeah.
be on the low end for Rebirth.
For real. Oh yeah, because
It
I
sounds
spoke to
like it's
Maddie.
just
He's
gonna be
playing it.
huge.
He's got 40. He didn't make it. He didn't make a tremendous dent just yet. So it's and
Yeah.
then they went open world a little bit. So you got that. Well, here's the thing though. Think about this. Final Shape was supposed to come out during the like, bro. I'd have been finished. So the way
Are you
I'm
okay?
glad
I've already
Final
been
Shape is
drowning. Last week was Ultros. I didn't even get a chance to review it.
right.
And then it was like Nightingale, something
Mhm.
Pal World happened out and Pal World, like
Yeah,
that happened out of nowhere. Nobody
out
expected
of
that one to happen.
nowhere. Hmm.
I missed Enshrouded. I've heard that's actually really good for like crafting, survival, everything. Like the whole environment is like destructible and everything comes together really well. Helldivers, Ultros.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, and the Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. I did play that one. I reviewed that last week.
Hmm.
Um,
Nice.
so like that's kind of the thing is like because that was what Travis and I both reviewed that, so we talked about it last week.
Hmm.
Yeah, this February is just getting kind of crazy.
Crazy,
So yeah, if they were
crazy.
sitting here now, granted,
Hmm.
we have 2 weeks from the release of Final Shape until Shadow of the Erd Tree takes away
Yeah.
all of the internet's
For you
thought
guys.
process.
For you guys. You
Oh, I
Souls
mean,
guys. Yeah,
yeah, like
it's all
I'll
you.
wait. Now the problem with that is if they stick to their
Uh-huh.
schedule, 2 weeks after the launch of Final Shape is supposed to
Mhm.
be episode 1.
Yeah, episode 1,
So
that's
that's like
right.
the 18th, and Shadow of the Erd Tree is like the 21st. And I was like, well, that's a problem.
Ooh,
So
yeah,
I'm gonna
you
have
in
to see how
trouble.
the content drops with that. I don't know if they do. I don't know where things are gonna fall in there. Like the raid will probably be in the expansion.
Mhm.
I'm guessing dungeons in episode 2 and 3 to space out that bigger content.
Yeah, they gotta
Well,
space it out
yeah, it's like
because
just
Final Shape will give us a raid with the witness, so
yeah, and
they
2
gotta
weeks later
space
you
out.
wouldn't like do a
Yeah,
dungeon, I don't think.
exactly that.
Um so yeah, I was like, I'm glad they were like Shadow of the Erd Tree dropping in 2 weeks. I'd be like, oh, because I mean on the 22nd we have Dragon's Dogma and Rise of the Ronin on the same day. I want to play
Yeah,
both. I'm
yeah, got my eye on that.
trying to see if I can get to cover Dragons. Don't know yet.
Mhm,
But trying at least throwing all the
mhm,
stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Rise of the Ronin, we're talking open world Neo. I'd played absolute living crap out of Neo 1 and 2, and Neo 2 was huge.
Huge.
Like that was like 50 hours so many just crazy bosses and everything. I remember streaming that thing. I was like, how big is this game? Because you go through some of these things. I mean, Elden Ring was 110 hours. That's different. But even for like Neo, I'm going, these are big, and they like added depth to everything. And this is like open world. You got a glider, and you got like a bird flying around, and you got your samurai like styles and stances. So I know it talks to you. Well, and then I remember I mentioned it to you that I saw that there was like difficulties on it, because I know Souls not your thing as much. But if you can enjoy an open world samurai action that's not just brutally punishing, then you're there. So then you might be there. So
exactly.
You've got Final Fantasy, and then you get to pick between. And Dragon's Dogma looks. Have you seen?
It looks sick. Yeah,
Dragon's. I mean, you're climbing on people's back. Like you got so many different.
Boss fight when he did
you've got like so many vocations. It seems like you can play damn near any way you want to. And then you've got the pawn system where you've got your people you train up. People can borrow them for a little while, and they can take their knowledge and share it with other people. I mean, Dragon's Dogma I never played, and I think it's something Rising. They're like cult classics anyway, from what the first one is. Like the people who have played it love the first one. I mean, both of those coming out. I feel like there's something else in March I'm missing. And then like I feel like the schedule really opens up.
Really starts to pick up.
This was like a debate I had with Travis too, maybe a little more offline, but it was
what's going on.
So I know like metrics, and he even said this to me because I was like, hey, I don't know. I always wonder, why does everything have to shove itself into like 6 weeks versus April, May? I mean, we have a couple things in June now, but like, what about those couple of months? And just as you get closer to summer, more people go outside, more people are going outdoors, less people sitting at home playing games. COVID's not so much a thing now, so you got that option as well. But I'm just like, at some point, there has to be a saturation of dumping everything in February. You're going to get lost. Some people will find you and follow you, but especially like even thaumaturgy, that like kind of, I don't even know how to describe that yet. I've almost got to get my words together and how to. It's like kind of a turn-based investigation, but it's got like skill trees, and you're kind of working with like spirits and demons. It seems kind of really cool, but they even bumped their release date to like March 4th because February was just stupid.
We're stupid, yeah.
And that was the question I was having with him, and I was just kind of curious your thoughts on it from stuff you've ever heard or whatever, because you're so big and famous now. You're out there on Jeffy Grub's Morning Mess. What? I was floored when I saw that this morning. I'm going, whoa! For one, Cog got up early. It must have been rough.
Yes.
And then the other side, I'm going, whoa, Jeff Grubb. And you want to know the only reason some of that makes sense now is because when I was streaming, all of a sudden Giant Bomb raided me, and I'm like, what the? Is this the real Giant Bomb? Because I've watched, I've listened to Giant Bomb off and on for years. Like they're really deep debates about Game of the Year. They're always like hours and hours. Their Game of the Year discussions are really good. I'm going, is this the same one? And somebody's like, yep, this is the same one. Yeah, you're going.
I sent you some love this week. Yeah, man, because it was dope. Like Grubb has been a good friend for a while, and I went to see Giant Bomb. The Lords went to see Giant Bomb. I think it's at PAX West, one of their kind of live shows.
Nice.
And we've always been good, you know. And he hit me up random. He was just like, "Hey man, you wanna do Giant Bomb? You wanna do the games match?" I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah, of course. You don't turn that down.
Yeah, so we just finalized what day it would work. The following week would end up being this week, and it was perfect because I know he wanted to talk about Nintendo, and then he had the Nintendo Direct. Then he had Xbox games, coming over, so he wanted me for that, and he wanted to talk to me about the Bungie situation.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, Bukag, I know you're a big Destiny guy." So it was like a perfect storm for me to be on as like the guest for all these topics. So yeah, we had fun, man. Shout out to Grubb. That was a ball. But yeah, as the show ended, he's like, "Hey, Twitch streams ending. I'm gonna let you pick, Carl. Who you want me to send it to?" So we look, and I'm like, "Wait a minute. You was my first thought, but I'm like, oh, he probably ain't gonna be on at this time. But then you were on. I'm like, yo, send him my boy Bonds. He's like, all right, I'm gonna spell it right now. I'm gonna put it right there. I said, he needs the love, man. He's going through a rough time. And I want y'all to send some love, send a raid in there. And it was dope. Everybody pulled up, Giant Ball pulled up.
I literally had like timing wise when that raid came through, like I got about an hour into my stream. Then I went through the story about her, and I was broken during it. Took a little like break, walked to the other room. When I came back and sat down, I was maybe sitting on my chair for maybe 10 minutes max, and that came in. So the timing, like I was just kind of getting my stuff back together.
Yes,
so,
I'm glad.
Yeah, like I mentioned it to a couple, but I wasn't quite broken at that point. So I was like, okay, this kind of works. But I was like, I know that name.
Yeah.
Why are you here? That was just very surprising. Baby. So that was very cool.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
No, but I guess that you're you're big Xbox man now. You got massive podcasts you're part of. You got industry insider knowledge. You got connections.
little bit.
You got DMs with execs in places that I've heard about. Yeah.
Sometimes, yes.
No, but this is my question to Travis.
What's your question?
I know there are some metrics that will say, hey, February is where you put your games. It'll get you some time. People will buy them. But at some point, I feel like there has to, businessly, because like Thaumaturgy was an example, to say, hey, like, why the hell do you not feel that if you took Dragon's Dogma and Rise of the Ronin, I can't say there's and again, they may not overlap as well. That may be a thing too. But like when you take open world action adventure games, and they're sitting on top of each other, move it 2 or 3 weeks for a month and like kind of come to an agreement and just know that like maybe either they're playing chicken, like, hey, they're going to spend their money here. If they get to later, maybe they don't have the money then. But also like stuff like Ultros or, Nightingale early access or Pacific Drive. Like these are, kind of finding small windows, but they don't get much time to have like breathing room and a little bit of time about them. And especially the way February has been for years now. Like I know Scale Up dies every February because it just does so much. He's got help now. He's actually building out a team, which is cool because Austin did Helldivers. He did Suicide Squad. Austin did something else, and then he got stuck with something. He's been with the less fun, and somebody else is going. And that's kind of where my question to you is, have you ever heard anything or asked anybody to say, hey, when you get to this point, somebody steals a release date, somebody jumps on top, it gets too crammed. Why don't you move? Is there any certain benefit? I know there's also fiscal years and stuff. There's a lot of factors.
I was just about to say,
I was like, there's fiscal years.
Corporate. We're thinking from the gaming and the consumer aspect, and I get it. Like from a consumer standpoint, it's like, yo, this is stupid. All of you guys are dogpiling on the same day, and you're killing yourself because you're making the consumer have to make these crazy tough decisions, and not everybody's going to win out.
Nobody has that much time.
Right, but the reality is the corporate side, which is some of the things have to come out by a specific quarter.
Yeah.
Other times it's okay, we have put all these resources towards this and you've got to hit that target. I think the industry is getting better though, because I remember a time where everything was very fall heavy.
Oh, I mean, Titanfall 2 is the prime example. That is the one because it came out between Battlefield and COD. I'm like, what are you doing? You literally sent it out to die. That's the prime example because Titanfall 2 is literally sent out to pasture when it was released. It was horrible. But that's one of those examples where there are fiscal times, but it was like, I know it may not hit this fiscal year, but there's also got to be a business point to where if we lose money because we're buried between 15 other games and the consumers are spread so thin, is there a distinction to say, yes, it will be a different fiscal, but as an overall profit and revenue and for the business, eventually it's going to work itself out because if you make some money here, but you lose out on a lot of like opportunity costs, because that's what you lose there. You may have a fiscal deadline to hit, but if you miss out on the opportunity of being a little more solo and free and being, hey, the only thing coming out for like 2 weeks is this one game. Then there's a point of,
I get it.
And that's a financial and fiscal and all those other things debate. I just more was curious your thoughts on if you'd ever heard anything, or if it's a lot of the fiscal stuff. It's all over the place, I'm sure.
It's more the fiscal stuff, and you got to remember, we're thinking as gamers, these companies operate in silos. They're in
blinders on.
And we don't know what they're doing. We can't operate like they're doing. Now, some have that political power to say, okay, you know what? They may be a competitor in the space, or they may have an idea. We want to get out to market before them because
what is it, like Callisto Protocol tried to beat out Dead Space Remake, I think was kind of that thing.
You hear about those stories.
Yeah, I was like, you heard they're like, hey, we're going to make sure we sneak out before. Dead Space ended up being the more favored one from Callisto. And I get that kind of thing too, but it just kind of is weird when you get so many things stacked together. Some of it's got to get lost in the shuffle, and I feel especially even like smaller games, like right now, the way the gaming schedule looks, something like an Ultros or certain things that are smaller indie gyms that may do really well if they get a little space to breathe. And you see like, Tales of Kinzera Zal. That's one, like I played the demo, looks legit. That guy poured his heart and soul into the game. It's at the end of April. There is not a damn thing at the end of April. Nothing is out there that I can think of. Now there may be something, so somebody's like screaming at the screen saying, "Hey, I know this one game is this real cool," but I was like, you look at the calendar and after you get done with like March 22nd, way more open. There's like 4 big games over the course of the next 4 months. So then you say, "Hey, do we wait 2 months, move it a little bit, move it to early March like Thaumaturgy's doing, like, hey, March 7th or 10th." And again, the way fiscals usually work, I was like, even for February, March had more space than February, and usually fiscals are at least done by quarter. If you're going to go for like fiscal year, it's not usually like February 27th, some random ass number. It's usually end of Q1, Q2, Q3, whenever they fall. So even March felt like it had more space than February. So that was a weird one for me because March for me is 22nd. And there may be one thing before that with Thaumaturgy on the 4th. But again, just that spacing is, and I know you said like so many other reasons, but I would be curious, and I know it's like weird gambles and metrics that they've got a whole lot of analysis that I don't have. But
there's a lot of data in this, man.
No, I know. And that's like me. I do kind of enjoy the data at some point. It is like an interesting thing. It's like, this is one of those that I would wonder because it's a head scratch to say there's like 12 games I want to play right now. Or you get to middle of March, be like, you know, I snuck the couple in February I could and be like, well, there's like one March 22nd, but like March 10th, I don't have a whole lot going on for a couple weeks. Bam, here's a new one. And then it gets a chance for a little bit more. I feel like those are, I would be very curious to like talk through some of that on the business side.
Yeah.
And
this
it's
is
just
publisher talk, what you're talking to.
Yeah, it's like
big publisher talk.
Yeah, and that's where, I mean, I would just be curious to have that kind of discussion and understanding about it. It's so weird.
No, I agree. And everyone operates different, right?
Yeah.
So you have that aspect. So
And then Grand Theft Auto doesn't give a damn and says, when we're coming out, everybody's moving out of the way.
They definitely operate their own style based on their reputation.
Because that's the thing. And the same with like Elden Ring. Like Elden Ring, Shadow of the Earth Tree. They can just put a date on the calendar and they're like, we're good. We don't care.
Yeah.
But that's like being blind to that type of thing. I feel like if
some
game's like, hey, we're going to come out January or June 20th, I'm like, you're stupid. Like that would be one of those moments. I'm like,
we as the gamer are informed about everything.
Somebody
that's going
in these companies has to be informed too, or not.
But you keep forgetting development costs. We gave you this bread, and this game got to come out by this time.
Okay,
and that's nice. Hold on, let me finish. That's nice that you think you want to move it around, but if you keep stalling this, the development cost going to go up and you are now over budget. This game got to come out, and that's the tough call sometimes. To your point, people say,
I feel like some discussions probably need more discussions that I'm thinking about. Some should be listened to, and I'm sure many of them are just shot down. And I feel like some discussions to say, hey, we know development cost has been a thing.
Yes.
As the developer, we feel in the industry right now, this is a very packed month. We feel our game will make you more money, which is the only thing you care about as a publisher generally. We want to make you more money, and we feel like we can be more successful here. And that is some of the stuff that...
No, those conversations happen all
the
time.
And that's
all the time.
Many get shut down. That's why February exists.
See who's losing. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what sucks.
This is a publisher. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Is like, I wanted to play more, and if you spread it out more, I feel like I would play more. And that's a weird one.
Publishers are just now learning. And I think even Nintendo Switch started this. Remember, like, Switch is one of the first consoles that I remember launching in like March.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were like, wow, you could be successful.
And they had like one game in March. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're now getting it where we're getting remember, we come from the era E.
Oh,
it was like
October, November sucked.
Yeah, September through December. You know, even November. I think
Destiny,
December is even new.
Like 10 years ago. In the life of Destiny, that changed.
Absolutely.
Destiny used to be that way, and now over the course of it, in probably the past 5 years, February's been February has been stacked for about 4 or 5 years.
So what it is, they saw metrics on February, like, okay, this is the new joint. But to your point, we're informed. We know, hey, you could be committing game suicide by launching in this same month with all these other things. And we got to remember, these publishers, they just think about money and stakeholders. They're not thinking about from gamer sensibilities. There's only so many places gamers can play at the same time, and you could be cannibalizing yourself. So I get it. And the developers a lot of times feel like how you feel, and they present this to the publisher to try to get pushbacks.
Because, I mean, I feel like you could probably do a poll of a lot of gamers. Like, at some point, a publisher still wants to sell their game, so they do have to have hopefully an idea what some gamers want. Yes, many gamers do not know what they want. I will tell you that. From Destiny alone, we don't know what the hell we want, and we never do, because we want things, and then they make the thing we actually want, and we didn't know it. That's fine. But when it comes to your time and your money, you are the ones actually spending that bill. And when you choose to do that, how much time you have, those are factors that should be a consideration. Sorry, I drowned on way too long on this one, but it's just it's, I mean, that's the thing, is you say it's like publishers making choices, fiscal decisions, and those things, metrics saying release the thing here, and it's just a kind of back and forth that I feel, as you know, February is now the new October, November time frame, because before it was like, if you're not out before Black Friday, you're dead. That's what it was. Like, you were out for that sale, that time, everybody's in the store buying that stuff. But then on the other side, now it's like February is doing the same thing, and you've got these summer months when things may be outside. Some people still sit their ass inside when it's 100 degrees.
Yeah.
So who knows? But yeah,
It's real.
I rambled on long enough.
Yeah, we got this game to talk about, man.
Yeah.
A lot of things happening in this game.
So we got 2 massive TWABs. TWIDs. Still gonna call it a TWAB. I think I'm just stuck doing that forever.
Facts.
Last week, Travis and I talked about Helldivers and Banishers and Skull and Bones. That's another one. That one finally landed. That was the other one that Scale Up reviewed Skull and Bones, Austin reviewed Helldivers, and then Scale Up reviewed Suicide Squad, and Austin reviewed one other one that he had fun with. So it was like he was 0 for 2, and I was just like laughing.
It's funny. It's funny.
So we didn't talk about the TWAB last week because Travis was like, "That's Cog's thing."
Yeah,
let me wait till he gets here, and then now he's out of town this week, so it's you and I. So first off, have you bought the Mass Effect armor? We must all know.
Oh yeah, all day.
Okay, it's all there.
All that whole package.
Did you buy every class?
Yes, I went and got the for because the Titans look best. I ain't gonna lie, the
Titans Shepherd. I know Titan Shepherd.
So. You had your little engineering kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Warlocks, we got to be Liara. All right, whatever. But my main thing is I had to get the Normandy. You know what I'm saying?
The nice stuff. I know. I will say, full surprise, that was actually free. That was nice. Yeah, free 99. Yeah,
free 99. We like that.
I had to check. I had to make sure you were, you know.
Oh yeah, log in immediately for that. Did my wishes for Revenant, and I was off.
Oh, by the way, just like everything in Destiny, if you wait, you are rewarded, because I think it was last week the wishes got easier. So on week 2, when you had to run around and find the Ascendant chest, which are not hard to do, by the way, it was 7. Right. Oh no, that took me so long to do. Now it's 3.
Oh wow, they really made it shorter. Okay.
And then it was kill.
So now it's blind.
Kill a certain amount of enemies in lost sectors. Well, they made it to where in the Dreaming City they're faster, and I did 2 lost sectors and I was done.
Yeah, I watched your video. I literally watched your video for that because I went right to that thing. Yeah. And then I forgot the loadout I had, like a void weapon and
void weapon for the shields on the legend one. If you did it the first day, then it was Affiliate.
I did. I had to do it the first. I was like, it's literally that lost sector, and I wanted the double progress. Yeah. So I was like, boom, let me knock that bad away.
That one or Bay of Drowned Wishes. Those are the 2 I'd do it in. Crystal.
Well, I saw you using. Wait, hold on. I gotta be Bessie. In your video, sir, I saw you utilizing a certain heavy weapon that a lot of people thought might be ineffective.
Oh, I already told you I ate my. Long ago. Oh god, yeah. I said that like early in. I used that for my solo flawless dungeon run. Are you kidding me?
You know what I love about it?
It's fire and forget for a little while.
Yeah, let them incinerate. Let the flames keep popping.
Ignite every so often. No, Dragon's Breath. I was like, they're not gonna do it right, and somehow, man, dude, it cooks literally. But
they did it. Yeah.
No, yeah. Dragon's Breath is legit. That was a very pleasant surprise because I never even used it in D1. Wasn't worth it. It just didn't feel in comparison to others. But man, I will say like solar loadout. If I need it, it's in my mix, man. I was pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think I had a little mark for our timestamp here. I'm trying to keep them somewhat straight. So for the 15th for the TWAB, we have Sandbox discussion for a lot of this piece at least. So Threaded Spectre, we'll start there. Currently overperforming in high-level PvP activities. I heard about this. Reduce the class ability regeneration penalty duration. I will tell you, if anybody's ever read a TWAB and been confused, I read that sentence right there, and that almost didn't make sense. I almost have to reduce class ability, regeneration, penalty, duration.
Penalty. Yeah.
And you're like,
Penalty
what?
duration. Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a fun
by
sentence.
50% in PvE activities, Threaded Spectre now applies the same class ability, regeneration penalty used by Ensnaring Slam when the player creates a Threaded Spectre. Increase Threaded Spectre detonation by 25% in PvE. Like, okay. Threadlings were something I did hear about. I heard threadlings were all over PvP.
Bro, I ain't even gonna hold you. Let me confession.
Okay, I gotta know. Like, are you a threadling? Like, are you terrorizing people out there in PvP?
I wasn't using Strand in PvP when Strand came out. I never really utilized it in PvP. Still, I was doing trials regularly, and I would see the swarms come towards me.
I've heard about this. I have not played much, but I've seen it. I've heard about it.
5 of them, and I'm like, yo, what is going on? So I said, you know what? It's one of those, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
And I realized, I'm like, yo, what you call it is so good in PvP. Like the threadling builds. So basically, I would as a warlock, you throw your rift down, you have your threadlings. You charge your grenade, you got your threadlings, and it's just that extra DPS when you're shooting, and then they go hunt and go chase down. And then on top of that, they were not the easiest to shoot when they're coming at you. So yeah, threadling builds. I have to admit, man, Strand and PvP. It was a thing. It was definitely a thing. So I
definitely heard about it in like Twitter. I heard enough that it was kind of a yikes.
They got us, guys. They got us. Come outside.
So they increased the aim assist shape size by a smidge for threadlings, which is weird. Reduced the base damage versus enemy players from 40 to 35. Damage with threadling evolution reduced from 45 to 38.5. So you're getting 2.5 points in damage for fragment. I think that would be.
Yeah, the fragment boost.
And that's the point where you're like 2.5. Like they're killing it a little more.
I mean, we got to see. It doesn't see that, but once we find out what's going on with the upcoming health changes that we'll talk about, this is all
that'll all make a difference too.
Yeah.
Fixed an issue where groups of threadlings were not reliably chain detonating when one was destroyed. Fixed an issue where threadlings sometimes did not play their non-damaging destruction performance when destroyed by an enemy, resulting in them appearing to blip out of existence. That's fun.
That's funny.
Arcane Needle also increased the aim assist on it for the hunter throwing thing. Don't have a whole lot of hunters here, but they increased aim assist angle, increased aim assist fall off distance, increased tracking angle velocity, and increased the length of projectiles tracking shape. Fixing the issue with the uncharged melees while Arcane Needle is equipped, resulting in the player appearing to freeze in melee pose. So seems like they fixed and buffed decent amount for Arcane Needle.
Yeah.
Restoration also got a fix because I learned this while I was working on my solo flawless how's that new Warlord's Ruin.
Yeah, it's okay.
So you have certain fragments on that help you extend and start your restoration buff. The problem with one of them, which I learned in the middle of my runs, somebody in chat's like, hey, that's broken. I'm going, excuse me. It would reset the you could get that thing up to like 12, 15 seconds or whatever it was. It would reset it to like 2 or 3.
Yep.
And I'm going, so you took one of them off.
Fire sprite.
Yeah, so you took one of them off, and then all you would do is like start with like a 2-second number, but if you got enough kills and like Sunshot in there was great for that, you would be able to at least build it back up.
And extend it,
So that actually seems to have been fixed.
Yes.
So they fixed Restoration and Radiant and all the shit that was broken. Sorry, I've cussed twice this episode.
No, you good. Yeah,
forgive me. And I was like, finally. I mean, I'm so glad I got my Warlord's Ruin art. Oh, you want to know the other thing about Warlord's Ruin? You know, in the Ogre encounter, when you got to like spawn the guy on the right side, you got to wait for his totems to spawn long enough so there's 2 if you want to be efficient, and then like nuke him down, then you stand in both. Well, on the right-hand side where I always was, it's where I got comfortable, felt I had enough cover. The dude half the time would throw one of his little totems and then he'd go, shoom, and they just go off into the ether. They would not exist.
Yo, that's crazy. Wow.
So I half the time, not to any fault, like I'm waiting, nearly dying, trying to get him to get that second one to spawn.
Yeah, to get the second one up.
So I ended up, I was just like, I powered through whatever crap that was. They tried to fix it at one point. They broke it harder. And then I think they may have fixed it later, but I was just like, I got my Warlords Ruin done. This has been an absolute mess. Restoration was broken. He was broken. I got it done.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it was yeah, it's been some stuff. So both Ember of Empyrean and Ember of Mercy fragments. So the max duration extends from 12 to 15 seconds with Empyrean. That's actually what it used to be. Rework the duration extension granted by each solar defeat. So now it's longer. Defeat, like, should be fixed is the whole point. So if you had some issues with that, we're good.
Yeah, that's definitely me, because I had a Fire Sprite build. I'm big on my
You're like collectible guys.
Well, more so like I have what is it? Dawn. I got a 6 Dawn Chorus build where I'm burning stuff up. I'm getting Fire Sprites. I'm generating that kind of thing. And what would happen is if you use Imperium and Mercy, and then you pick up the Fire Sprite, it was reducing that timer. So instead of, I already built it up to, like you said, 12, you hit the Fire Sprite, now it's like 3, 4. You're like, no.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this got to be fixed, because that's messing up that whole cycle.
If you were a Fire Sprite build, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad they're just, because I'm a big Fire Sprite build when I'm rocking solar.
Yep. Now for Sunbreakers, we're improving the consistency of Consecration. If I remember correctly, Consecration is the slam, like the jump slam melee thing that you can do. I feel like that's one of those things that I want to kind of say when it comes to like Mean Girls, stop trying to make fetch happen. For whatever, I'm not, like, I don't think I've seen it in any reasonable build in a lot of places. I could be wrong. People make builds work all over the place, but the whole, like, do a melee, jump up in the air and slam for that, it always felt like more of a process than it was worth, especially next to the bonk hammer. Even the bonk hammer now with a cooldown timer, still better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So they're trying, again, to make fetch happen, but increase the travel distance of the initial ground follow, a projectile that travels along the ground surface like thermite grenade, from 18 to 20 meters. Increase the height of the slam ground follow detonation by about 1 meter. Increase the travel distance of the slam ground follow to 20 meters as well. Increase the travel speed of slam ground from 16 to 24 meters per second. So they're trying to make it stronger. I don't know if it's going to matter.
You bonking. Yeah.
I'm bonking. Like there's no way you're going to make me try and do like a melee wave, jump up in the air, slam down, only in a forward direct. No, that's, I don't. Especially because that thing's going to be on a cooldown. I'm going to have my bonk hammer back in a second, and that thing makes sunspots, and then I can sit there. It's not for solar. Is that thing ever going to come close to the bonk hammer until you kill the bonk hammer? Please don't do that. Just, yeah. Gunpowder Gamble, reduced self-damage. That's actually a good thing, because Gunpowder Gamble for a hunter, which I'm going to have to learn hunter, by the way, for one of my charity drives when we hit my 5,000, which was amazing, by the way. You guys are awesome, because I think we ended up at like 5,700. 3 million, man. That was nuts. We had him on the podcast. It was nearly 1 million in the night, past 3 million before it was all done. That was crazy. But the self-damage for Gunpowder Gamble, which I've always even Dado, when he was playing, he was like, this is actually pretty fun. Like, you kind of build it up and chunk this slow throwing and just and shoot it. Self-damage is like damn near in half. So now you're not likely to kill yourself as much, which I'm totally fine with.
Oh, that's dope.
I've talked a lot. Do you want to take some of this stuff?
No, sure. I mean,
weapon archetypes.
Weapon archetypes. You talk about heavy burst hand cannons. They corrected an issue there with the aim assist. I've still yet to get one, but
really?
I have not got one yet.
I think I got a Warden's Law from doing. Hold on, I think I have.
Right.
No, that Trials. It looks gold. Was it Trials? No, that had to be Nightfall.
No. I think wasn't it? I'm trying to remember where the drop was at.
I don't want to. It had to be. No, it wasn't Nightfall for sure, because I didn't do Trials in ages. So it had to be. It's just my model on Dim looks gold for some reason. I don't know if I should. Weird. I got one with like Frenzy and Enlightened Action. It's okay stats wise, but it's just the whole double shot. It's
double shot. Not really feeling vibing with it.
Something about like the thing about a hand cannon is each shot counts so much.
Yeah.
So when you do the double shot, I don't always feel like they're both quite on target. They don't. It's not like Graviton Lance, where I feel like they hit better.
The hitbox, yeah.
I feel like it is like this, like they're stacked. So then when they fire that way, yeah, it's a Nightfall weapon. Okay. Gold is Adept Nightfall. That's why. Okay. I did that was probably one of those times where, hey, you can farm a Grandmaster on some of these things really easily. That was probably it.
No doubt. Oh, shout out to Forte.
Yeah, what's
super
up,
chat.
Forte? $5 super chat from Gaming Forte. Wow, I haven't been here in a while. Loving the energy that emanates from the Church of the Last Word. In all honesty, miss you guys, forever guardians. How you doing,
Yes,
Forte?
always.
Hopefully you're doing well.
Forte, shout out to DPS podcast. They going after us. Salute to them. But yeah,
all right, you know,
no doubt, no doubt.
good to have competition.
No, they'll talk that Destiny because what you call it. Forte's only day. He's a retired Destiny, but he coming back for Final Shape.
Oh, okay, gotta see the end. I gotcha. Yeah.
And what you call it? His part of slow mo. He really plays Division. He's a Division. We had slow mo on one time way back, right?
Oh yeah, no, I
say
remember.
right around Division 2 on.
I think I was on. Oh God, what is the one with Mooch?
Yes, Crossfire.
Crossfire. I think.
Yeah, he probably was on there at one time.
Both of them might have been on there at that point.
Yeah,
I cannot remember the
definitely
episode. Yeah.
Yeah, so salute to them. They usually go around 9. But yeah, so you got that, and then we got bows. And how you feeling about that? Reduce the auto aim for assisted start by 15%. Aim assist will be less effective at long range and reduce the maximum auto clone size by 5%. You're a bow guy. How are we feeling about this?
I am less of a PvP bow guy, and that's what this is for. This is 100% for people hitting bows in PvP. Now, I will tell you, having tried to use a bow as a average player, not high skilled, trying to use the bow is not an easy thing to do. It is a high skill weapon. Now, the ceiling may be up there, and this is one of those points where it's like, I think the frustration of people getting pissed off by being killed by a bow. Now, Layman Arc is a different thing. Layman Arc's ability to poison and take you out, that is a thing. Like, I'm not going to argue, but a normal bow, normal bow is a hard thing to be good at. But I always respected the people who were maining a bow in like trials. And I'm like, you're actually somebody to be feared because you've taken the time to be good with that. And that now, granted, there's also things where if you get quick switch on a bow, quick switch, high mobility, like high agility on the other, it's bow. And then by the time that thing lands, you're switching so fast you can't react.
Fast. And they're cleaning up on you quick.
So that's the other piece. So it's like, this is all PvP. I knew it was. Yeah, I'm not too concerned. If my Wish Ender still hits what it needs to and smashes like a truck in PvE, I'm fine. Not Wish Keeper, Wish Ender.
Wish Ender, exactly.
Wish Keeper, unfortunately, is going to wander itself into the vault and collect some dust.
Yeah, I got to finish the catalyst on that. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm just so not enthused by the weapon. I'm like, I got to get it done.
I was like on the weekly reset to get it done and make videos. But yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I don't have a purpose to pull it up because it is such a like you could use it in Vanguard strikes, but high level stuff, it's not gonna jump into the mix. It's just
I'm just gonna get it done because I feel eventually we will get a buff or a rework.
It needs something. Like, I mean, that's I really bugs me though that when weapons come out like that, and I know not all weapons. I almost hate saying that phrase. I was gonna say I know not all weapons need to be good in all things, but like. It's not good in like high level PvE, and then it doesn't really seem like it's got much of a place in PvP. I don't know what you're going for it for. So that's, I guess, one of those where I'm like, I know some will have like little niches and mini games. Like I know Mercules really likes this idea of like mini games around a weapon. Like Revision Zero is kind of a good example. He built that, and it's been buffed up a little bit too.
Sick.
But Wishkeeper is one of those. I'm going. I think you missed.
Yeah, they definitely they know they missed.
Off the mark.
They can tell by the usage. Yeah, they definitely missed. So we got that. We got auto rifles. It looks like Breakneck. They missed the 12 perk target lock. Interesting. Shout out to Breakneck.
Yeah, so now you can go work on getting a better one, apparently.
But
you have to grind Gambit, so good luck to you.
Scout rifles got a little base damage, 5%.
Right, they are so afraid of those. So afraid of scout rifles. They're like, please don't sit in the back of the map or in the back of the PvE encounter and plink away with your infinite ammo scout rifle that you have some of the worst perks on, and they feel weak as hell. Like, if you are going to do that, it is going to take you an hour, and good luck. Like, they are so
terrified. They're still scared of D2 vanilla trials meta. When we used to be at the distances, everybody had their name like Midnights and they scouts, and Mida was running rampant. Yeah, it was like
Mida's quick. Yeah. Now, like on PvE stuff though, the way. I feel like it was more of a D1 problem, though, because it was the way things were designed. Like, if you go back and you play... What's the strike I'm thinking of with the big servitor in the end? That's...
Oh, we talking about
Devils? The good music.
Oh,
rock music.
Devil's
Ruin. Yeah.
Devil's Ruin, yeah.
that is a D1 style strike. So when you go through and play it, it feels that way. I can solo it because it's a D1 style strike. You can sit in the back, you can plink away.
You can sit in and plink.
So many of the encounters now, you can't do that. The way they make everything now, like, hey, what's the first thing in Warlord's Ruin? Run around like a chicken with your head cut off and try and get a little bit of cover, and a scout rifle doesn't make sense. In most places, a scout rifle doesn't make sense anymore in so many of the encounters that they've built. Now, there's probably a couple raids we've got a little bit more range on things, but so many places now they've made it to where it's very hard, and a scout rifle typically is going to be not fast enough to be close.
Right.
Because things are going to be, I don't know, it's just the way they've designed the game away from those style encounters. Because, I mean, when we got to Iron, I'm losing my Destiny history. Third year.
Oh, Rise of Iron?
Yeah. Rise of Iron, like the way some of the strikes were set up, they were all like circles.
Yes.
So much was a circle. You had to move. You barely had cover, like run around with your chick. Like they got away from the point A to point B. Like you're going to shoot, you know, whether we wanted it or not, you're not going to sit at the other side of the room and plink that guy in the head anymore. They don't want that.
It was literally, honestly, what spearheaded it was, what's our sniper?
Icebreaker did it.
Icebreaker. Yeah, that was literally the icebreaker. We are changing the design of this game. You are not going to sit in the map, back of the map for hours, plink away, and not engage. And now we're making you move, and we're making less cover. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree. So we got that. We got sniper rifles in PvP, auto aim cone by 10%. And I guess they feel they want to make it harder. They want to nerf aim assist there. This is a big one. The rocket launchers. We got precision, the high impact frames, and everything else. So it looks like precisions, the reserve ammo by 2, so they're getting 2 more in the chamber. And high impacts, also increasing the reserve ammo by 2. It deals more detonation damage, less impact for roughly the same total damage. This should make them more effective versus groups when getting splash damage on a target with a near miss. And the above changes affect Deathbringer, Galley, and Truth are about to get the +2 ammo. Is that how I'm reading that?
Hold on. I'm looking at stats. Like that's how I read it, but I'm just checking stats on stuff right now.
Galley getting 2 more in the joint. Like
RPM 15, RPM 15. So 15 is precision frame.
Right.
Okay, precision frame. Yep. So those will get, and then high impact. I'm trying to check dim right now just to see what examples are. And everybody in chat probably knows it faster than me. Hotheads and adaptive. How's high impact? The new Strand rocket launcher is one.
Okay.
I think that's the dungeon one. I mean, Tomorrow's Answer.
Right.
That's
so basically what they're doing is,
but they're bumping up reserves.
They're bumping up reserves for the lower end one because precisions usually are the ones that track, and they're the lowest of the damage.
Well, and they got rid of the damage penalty, so now rocket launchers are just kind of good. They're all pretty universally pretty good now.
They're making them more relevant because aggressives were always the top build. Like that was the ones you went for. So now they're doing that. So salute to that. I think that's cool. Heavy grenade launchers. Basically, I'm going to summarize because we got a lot to read and we got to get to the new stuff. This is the old stuff. So look, heavy grenade launchers. What I got from it, you tell me what you feel, is that they're basically trying to make spike grenade not the de facto choice, because we all know what he's doing. We look for spike grenade. Now it's kind of a penalty. So it went from the impact damage buff from 50 to 12%. So that's shot. They increased the reserve ammo by 6 to a maximum 10, which is cool.
They increased the direct hit damage and the detonation. So they bumped it up, and they're basically making the universal grenade launcher better and spike grenade less required. So a lot of the grenade launchers you have with different types of perks don't need spike to be quite as crucial anymore.
3 gigs. Yes, Caraxes is back on the menu, boys. You already know what it is. Pull those Caraxes out if you got those. Yes, I agree. Now this was interesting for me. Wave frame heavy grenade launchers.
Only one now.
One, and I believe that's the one on Neomuna that's craftable.
Yeah, it's the Stasis one, I think, right?
Yeah, I want to use that because I got some builds. Just I can't. I knew it was garbage when it came out. But it's like, if you're going to increase the damage by 20% and increase wave width by 40, this could be an ad clear. And I'm curious to see what PvP, how that's going to flow. It could be a PvP little, what's that joint? The insect joint that we used to have back in the day. They used to chase you.
Oh.
There was an exotic.
I
What's the
know.
insect joint? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Chat, help us out. What was the insect exotic
I
that
never
was
use it, but yeah.
it was notoriously oppressive? Colony, thank you, Prescott. And now, obviously, the waveframes don't chase, but if you're putting a bigger with more damage, watch
Yeah.
out for waveframes in
Dimensional
PvP. Hyper, yeah.
hypotrochoid.
Bro, I got a sick roll. I got one in the chamber. I think I got like chain reaction and auto. I mean, the one envious assassin, right?
I've
The
got
one that
Envious Assassin and One for All, and for a waveframe, One for All actually has some decency to it, but I still think yours sounds better.
yeah. My main thing with this, and I'll move on. I just want to see in PVE, because who really uses those in the boss account?
No, I used one is because it was like the first thing I got in the Neo Muna campaign. I was trying to use the things I was picking up,
Yeah,
and I was trying to like
light.
pump damage out with it and wave through things. It was okay, but like as soon as you kind of find something better, you move on pretty quick.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. Caster swords. You got the heavy attack energy cost.
Colony, by the way. I don't know if you said
Colony.
that.
Yes, yep, I said it. And then increase the heavy attack damage by 16%. Caster's the one you shoot the little
Yeah,
beam
the
out, right?
little rotating circle. You like
Yeah.
it shoots a disc out, so they're just making it heavy attack be cheaper, hit harder. I still don't know if I'll ever use that as like a DPS thing.
Right.
It always seems weird to have like a sword for DPS. They really have tried to rework swords so much, like guarding being more efficient and the way the ammo works, and they're trying to find the right spot for them, so they keep wiggling.
The rest stuff I consider light as far as exotics. Obviously, visual just wings to change recoil pattern.
Nothing too magey.
Nothing too much.
Manticore feels like fetch as well. No,
Yeah.
no. Just no.
How Titans feeling about this edge of action? How we feeling?
That's a hunter one.
Oh, that's the hunter. No, I thought that's the edge of action glaive that goes with the. Isn't that compete with the Water Dawn? Isn't that the
really
glaive?
us? Maybe it is.
Yeah, that's y'all.
Well, increase the damage resistance in PvE against all combatants except bosses to 85%, and increase the damage resistance against bosses by 15%.
You ain't using that.
I'm not gonna use it still. No.
You're using that glaive in the exotic spot for that. They tried with that one.
Yeah, it's like heal clip is cure ×2, which is definitely stronger if you get that out. This is all like perks, dual loader, loose change, text balance.
I want to shout out Xderis though. I like what they do with Xderis.
What is that gun? I don't remember.
That's the seasonal arc grenade launcher that you don't really have to reload. And then when you kill somebody, it shoots the little moth out. Remember? And the moth detonates.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You can do it with some arc builds.
Increase the impact damage of PV by 50.
50%.
Maximum rate of fire by 17.
Watch out for Xderis.
Now remember, impact damage first, explosion damage. Impact's going to be the lower one.
True. But still, bench PV and enemies 50%.
They said total increased damage works out to about 20%, not 50.
Still, it's good. It's good now.
It is decent. Like it kind of surprised, and I never used it a ton, but I think it surprised me. It's like, this doesn't suck. It's kind of hard to aim, be really accurate with, but I was like,
and then you get the catalyst. You blind. It rages faster with the. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it. I do like this heal clip. Let's talk about that. Your turn. You get the perks.
Oh, heal clip? Heal clip, 2x. So I mean, if you put that together, 2x cure is really strong. I remember when you kind of got that cooking, it's strong.
Just about reloading after a kill, you and that's a support tool.
Yeah.
And what's about that dope fusion? Was it Eremite, the big one? You can throw heal clip and reservoir burst on that. So you got the explosive damage, and then you reload. Boom, healing yourself and whoever's in vicinity. That's nice.
There you go. See, Cog's thinking outside of the box here.
Well, you know I do.
Trench barrel. Oh, I know. You off meta build. You're always fun.
Yeah. Yes.
Trench barrel can now be activated by dealing damage with ranged attacks. That actually does make sense. Like throw a knife and then come over here with a shotgun that's buffed. Like that makes sense.
You don't have to be as high risk with the trench barrel.
A barrel constrictor was fairly experimental, so we shipped it into constrained. Now they loosen it up. Loose change is strong in a PvE subclass build, but isn't particularly interesting in PvP, so they added some buffs for that. Dual loader. God, I saw that and I was just like, Instagon. Remove the reload penalty, change the wording of the perk description to make it clear that it increases the number of shots reloaded. We can now apply it to other types of weapons without confusion in the future. I'm like, that's fine. But reload perks for very few things, I'm going to put that as a priority.
Yeah.
Text balance stock. Are you Dead Man's Tale, the text mechanical weapons? No, me neither. Yep.
Nah, I don't really use them joints. I don't know. It's just never really clicked with me. I remember when Dead Man's was really oppressive, but not really for me, especially not in PvE. So,
I mean, you got Hawkeye Breach, you got Sundering Hatchling activation requirements no longer locked to the archetype in terms of precision or non-precision kills. Instead, the perk will trigger with either a precision or 3 non-precision. That's actually good.
Yeah.
Gives Hatchling a little more room to have some love.
Mhm,
Target lock now
mhm.
activates later in the magazine for SMGs at 20% instead of 12.5%, so the damage buff will swing primary weapon gunfights less often. Yeah, there are sometimes you see them, they make a weapon like a target lock SMG, and they're like, what have we done?
Yeah. Oh,
And it
you can
breaks
tell
the
they
game.
regret.
It breaks the game for like 6 months because
They regret.
okay, so here's the question.
Let's
They
go.
put that out, and I feel like it was
Mhm.
1 week into 1 week into trials. They knew that was a mistake. Everyone was like,
Bro,
"Oh, this is absolutely
the
amazing. Everyone needs
Immortal
to farm." Yeah, the Immortal. So here's
was
the
running
question:
wild. Let's go. What's the question?
Gun comes out like that,
Mhm.
pretty freaking busted.
Yes.
But that's like the main culprit one.
Mhm.
Turn it off until they fix it.
Mhm.
Would you?
Or
How would you think if they're like, "Hey, we are sorry, Immortal is busted. We apologize for those of you who grinded it out. Hope you had your fun. We're going to turn it off
Mhm.
until we figure out a way to balance this SMG target lock
Right.
combination that's crazy."
It's
And
an
they just
outlier, yeah, for
deactivated
sure.
one gun that you could use, but everything else is
Mm,
still there. Do you think
mm,
that would have been a different way to handle the situation? Because sometimes there really are these single outliers.
right.
I mean, they have no problem turning off an exotic that's brand new when you buy a season
Right.
pass. This is
Right.
something you went in and earned in Trials of Osiris, but still,
Mhm.
it's a thing that's pretty busted in the game. Do you think
Yeah.
they should be able to? Do you think they should just turn it off for, say,
Mm.
PvP or something like that? Do you think people would get too pissed off, or do you think the overall fairness of making the game mode not suck for everybody would be better?
Look, I think it's more of the complexity, the fact that this is a PvE/PvP game,
I
and
mean, that's fair.
yeah, I just think that they look at it and the negative effects of having target lock. Remember, it's really more so target lock on SMGs in
Oh, I
PvP.
know.
Target lock as a whole really isn't that oppressive. It's actually really good in PvE for
Yeah.
like machine guns
Yep.
and stuff like the 450s and stuff like that. So it's a tough one because I feel yes, like they should be able to say, okay, this is too much of a problem. Let's be able to address it. But there's so much complexity on the back end, and then the PvE component. They've just made this. The only time they do it, you notice, is right around raids first.
Oh, of course.
They mess it
Oh,
up
yeah, if
bad.
a new season comes out and something's broken, it's insta off. But yeah,
Yes.
but that's also a problem, in my opinion,
Mhm,
because the
mhm,
PvP players would say, "Hey, this one gun is ruining the experience in PvE,"
right.
but they're gonna leave it there for 6 months. Raid weapon comes out for our raid competition. We wanna make sure we're gonna deactivate 5 or 6 different things. So that's where I feel like that's not actually fair.
Mm,
They have a history of not disabling legendaries, maybe because they have to earn it through RNG, and that's
yeah.
fine. But maybe it's like, okay, if it sucks in PvE, you can't take it into PvP, but you could use it in PvE, and it's still something you earned. You can use it in the other half of the game, but in
Mhm,
PvE or in PvP, we feel this combination of perk and weapon
mhm,
kind of breaks the game. You guys all
right.
show it to us in the stats anyway. We're going to turn it off until we figure out a fix for it. And either the
Right.
gun just kind of falls to the wayside and gets forgotten about, and then
Right.
PvP is happier. I don't know. That's kind of one of those
Yeah.
because, as you said, they will do it for a raid really damn fast, but
Oh,
PvP
fast.
hangs around for
Mhm.
like 6 months. It feels like.
Yeah. Well, then again, we did realize that they didn't have a dedicated PvP team for
I
some
mean,
time.
there's a whole bit more information we've learned as we go. Just in
Yes.
general, though, it's like, hey, one weapon sucks in PvE. Let's fix. It's
Eh,
not, and it wasn't even one archetype. Like SMGs were a thing, and those
mm,
have they've still brought down. But it's like if you take that one, and again, that's like kind of a thing. I feel like True Vanguard has always used
mhm.
the idea of an outlier, whether it's matchmaking for people or, and this is just like, you got your little chart here, and this one outlier is like blowing
Right.
up off
Just
the chart, and be
blowing up
like,
everything else.
all right,
Yeah.
well, let's make our line a little more reasonable, and if
Mhm.
we take this one out, things look a little better and more reasonable, and
Mm.
then we'll figure out what to do. I don't know.
I hope they had the ability. I hope it's a situation where they have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
That'd be dope. Unless we find out that they just can't even do that.
Let's see.
Got
Envious
Envious
Assassin.
Assassin,
Each
bait and
activation is
switch.
now capped at 100% of magazine size instead of 150, and the
Okay.
maximum overflow is now 3 times the magazine size instead of 4. People are
Mhm.
getting a little extra. Bait and switch is down to
Mm.
30%, which is going to change up some
Yeah. That's
DPS.
gonna change up some DPS
I
champions.
was going to say
Gotta
RIP to Aztecross's DPS charts because
yeah.
it's all over those things he does.
Main switches was out here, There's only a few of them that happened. You know what's funny? I got that on that trials grenade launcher adaptive. I
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to test that out.
I was like, I'm
and
gonna
then they
have
launched
a
a whole
bait and
bunch.
switch on whatever that rocket is for Apex
And
Predator.
then
'Cause I have a
the tried and true, sorry. Good.
reconstruction bait and switch Apex Predator, like,
Oh. Ooh.
and I didn't actually craft that one. And the reason I haven't actually gone in there as much is because I got that drop before
You
I got
need
the
to.
red frame unlocks. Yeah, I was like, I
Yeah.
didn't have to go as far in there. I
Yeah,
still
you
need to get
good.
those patterns though.
Yeah, salute.
Cataclysmic's another one.
Cataclysmic,
Yep.
yeah, rest in peace. I'll say rest in peace. 35 to 30. It just won't be the de facto, you know, like how it was before with the linear fusions. It was the de facto solar one. So yeah, some other perks are gonna come up and compete with bait and switch now.
Yep. Let's see. Mods, bonus damage against mini bosses should have been part of boss specs, not major
Mm-hmm.
mini boss.
I guess should have been part of boss spec, not major spec. So majors
Trying
are
to
orange
remember what
bars.
mini bosses are, because
Remember
previously
the
major or
Mhm.
not boss spec, major spec is what you would use for champions.
Mhm.
And I don't remember what mini bosses count for.
I believe it's the
Or like,
the energy bar color.
so just
And
anything like with that yellow bar,
yeah,
as
I
opposed to the
believe so.
orange for major, which, okay, so champions still should be the same. I guess there's just certain enemies that are like bosses and mini bosses and
Classification.
gotcha.
Yeah, that's all. That's how I look at it.
So the future, we
Check,
pulled a
correct.
lot of
Yep,
balance
first guy was
changes.
right. Yellow bars with non-unique names.
Yeah, we pulled a lot of balance changes from the final shape and Destiny 2 into the light update into update 7.3.5, but we still have a number of small but exciting changes shipping into the light, touching content many players haven't thought about in several years. I'm still wondering what Into the Light is going to be. That's kind of, you want to know why a lot of people are not playing Destiny right now? We don't know what Into the Light is. Not a whole lot to prepare for, not a lot to do. We know Final Shape has this. We don't know much about episodes besides what they told us. Like, there's so much question right now with what the future holds. And I'm hoping, I feel like the longer they wait, they keep incrementing that bar a little bit higher to make people excited. Because if you tell people early on what it is and they can kind of start piecing it together and figuring it out, you have some expectations that get set. The longer you don't tell people, the hopes keep getting higher.
Yeah. No, I get that. that. That's fair.
I don't know. We'll see when it all comes together. But in Final Shape, we're rebalancing mini weapon types in PvE. Buffing underperforming weapons, leaving most high performers untouched, which I appreciate for PvE.
Nice.
Since we're looking at PvE weapons tuning anyway, over the course of the year of Final Shape, again, this is tuning over the course of the next year, which is crazy to think about, we'll be looking at weapon mods that feel mandatory, and we intend to make some changes that will increase player choice, particularly in PvE. I'm okay with that. We're also making substantial changes to several of the least used exotic weapons. We see a lot of requests for these, so you can guess which exotics they touched. And adjusting some perks, including a long requested change to kill clip, making it more viable to use on slow firing weapons. Well, yeah, if you take chill clip, even though they kind of nerfed it on, like, say, Deliverance versus Riptide, you would never use it on Deliverance because of how it worked.
Yeah.
But now, like, if something is slower firing but then hits chill clip harder, then it would give Deliverance life. That would be kind of where that goes.
Agreed.
God, there's even so much more for Crucible Sandbox.
Yeah, this is a lot. I mean,
all right, hold on. Let me see if I can skim.
Yeah, we got to skim.
Okay, goals.
We get to do stuff.
Help players to more clearly understand the sequence of events. Okay, I do remember hearing something about this. Help players clearly understand the sequence of events that led to their death, so that they can more easily learn to improve. After the weapon sandbox, alter the weapon sandbox to account for increased average skill of our player base. Yes, your player base is getting smaller, so the ones who are still here play a lot. Encourage primary weapon mastery to be an aspirational pursuit for players. So the symptoms of kind of what they describe have been generated by a handful of root causes. We have certain ability builds with either higher uptime or higher potency than we believe is healthy. Keep those builds in check. We've provided a near constant availability of special ammo, which means there's always a surplus of one-shot kills on the field. And to keep primary weapons competitive, we made primary weapons highly lethal, fast killing, in general, also very forgiving. All that leads to a high percentage of deaths on our sandbox where the target's perspective feels like there's nothing they could have done. Prime example is like the quick switch between bow, hand cannon, follow-up. You die faster than you know it can happen.
You're like, what happened? My group.
The player health going up by 30, which means your total number is going to go up to like 231.
Big.
They haven't ever, I can't think of the last time they touched that. So that will change number of shots for kills, like depending on, do you need one more hand cannon shot or X, this and that and the other. Like auto rifles will need X more number of bullets, so it will slow down some things.
Yeah.
But also, I think when they get through a lot of this, will slow down body shots being effective.
Body shot being
Precision
effective.
shots will be your focus. So if you are good at your precision shots, your time to kill they're going for, not really changing. And that rewards skill.
Yes.
As opposed to bullet spam, which, you know, your anti-auto rifle people will be happy about.
Yes, which I've always been preaching
Yeah.
from day one. Let's get it back to skill. And the pulse is a skill weapon as opposed to the auto rifle.
Oh, I've always loved pulses, so you don't get a whole lot of argument out of me. I'll take my data rifle all the way. But yeah, change in health is actually big. Like, that's one we haven't seen, but the change in health with the focus on crits versus bodies, it's an interesting way to do it because they bump, like, the crit damage goes up, but the body shot stays the same or however they tweak it. That just means your criticals mean that much more. It's an interesting way to change it. It's not one I would have even... This is one of those times gamers don't always know what they want. This is an interesting way to focus on skill being rewarded by increasing crit and health, but leaving body lower. It's like, I wouldn't have put all of those pieces together, but it's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, good start.
Ability cooldowns. So melee, grenade, and class ability cooldowns now have a 15% applied to them in Crucible only. Now this I appreciate when it says in Crucible only.
Only, yeah. Don't you do that.
Yeah, don't make PvE slow.
Yeah, don't do that.
Super cooldowns have a 20% penalty for them in Crucible only again. So PvE only or PvP only, you can do all you want in there to make that as balanced as you like. I don't care.
Agreed.
Ability damage. So to account for the health and the reduced uptime, super base damage is up by 31%. Melees are up by 16%. Grenades increased one grenade. So weird. The arc flux grenade by 16%. That is so bizarre. That means that grenade must really be weak. Primary weapon archetypes increase. This is all crit damage. So increase crit damage by 14% for pulse, auto, sidearm, scouts. Hand cannons increase crit. Reduce body shot. Reduce flinch dealt by players. Submachine guns increase crit, reduce body. Bows reduce base damage. They're really crapping on bows.
Yeah, they're going in. Bows are getting it, getting that work.
So special weapons is now going to be like an ammo counter. So you get kills. As you get kills, you build up and again, different modes with more or less people will kind of have a variation. As you get a kill, you get a certain amount of points towards your special ammo. When you get your special ammo full, you get a couple of bullets. It's a different way to do it. So I'll be kind of curious how that feels. What do you think on the special ammo? More rewarding kills?
Yeah,
do you think this makes the rich richer, though? Is that an argument some people might worry about?
It's valid. I mean, you could see it because from my understanding, this stuff carries also into the next round, I believe, right? So
pretty sure.
I still like the overall spirit of it, which is reward the gunplay, primary gunplay first, right? And then you get that because I do think, let's just be honest, people are still running around with their specials, their fusions, their shotguns, or whatever it is they're using as a primary tool because it's just low, it's low risk. You just go up there and one-shot somebody. So they want to get it back to the primary. So again, I'm not going to say this is the perfect solution just yet. I want to see how it applies, but I do like the spirit of the change.
Yeah, so general notes outside of your counts that you get. Kills from special ammo and heavy ammo do not grant points towards special ammo meter, so it is truly primary, focus rewarding. Jumping off the map will subtract progress. Ammo is not dropped on death, and you will not lose the special ammo you have earned when you are defeated or revived, so it's on you until you use it. Earned special ammo will carry over between rounds when rounds are an option, and swapping from double primary weapons to a special weapon will reset your special progress. So you can't use two different primaries and then swap over mid-trials match. They're gonna...
stop trying to hustle. We know what y'all doing.
Trace, shotgun fusions, base damage is up. Slaves, melee and projectile damage is up. Heavy weapons, heavy grenade launchers, reduce detonation damage by 5%. Machine guns, base damage up by 20%. Exotics, Fighting Lion, less damage versus Crucible. Devil's Ruin, decrease the charge beam against players in Crucible, 20%, 15%. Crimson, reduce the flinch dealt to players by almost 20%. Forerunner, increase damage versus players by 20%. It is special, so I guess when you get that damage, you can make it count. Symmetry, increased Revolution, which is the alt fire mode, I think, damage versus players by 16%.
Me and Merc love that gun. It's a sexy exotic. I want that exotic to be dope. So I'll give it a shot.
And then one of the cooler emblems we've had in a while, Happy Lunar New Year. It's a free one. I think everybody can get the code. But that's just a cool emblem for the Lunar New Year with Riven and the... That one's legit.
The dragon exotic ornaments though. Whew.
I don't know if that's actually still going on.
Them Luna New, bro. I'm a
No, the
little
humble bundle. I meant to talk about
can I
this.
complain?
Oh, you can do whatever you want.
All right. You gotta admit, these ornaments are sexy, right? The dragon, the red and the gold. Why Dragon Breath ain't get this? Like, Gold Dragon Breath got the ugliest ornaments. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man.
I mean, they're going back to the World War II fighter. It's what they're doing with that one. It's just its own style.
Can we get the Dragon Joy for Dragon's
I mean,
Breath?
I'm with you. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying that's why, but...
It's like,
all right, hold on. There's going to be a small switch. I'm going to switch Discord servers here just a little.
No doubt, no doubt.
Okay, just centralized it between the two of us.
Yeah, that's all. Because I'm sitting there and I'm looking at, because I believe that's Two-Tailed Fox, right? They got it. Two-Tailed Fox got the. Isn't that?
That's what that is.
I'm like, man, I want that for Dragons.
Oh, and then like Risk Runner. I actually can't think of the last time I used Risk Runner. There's certain occasional points, but pretty rare anymore that gets it. It's very odd. And it's a free one. I'm always actually surprised it's.
I know.
When you get exotics for, you know, non-expansion related stuff.
Yeah, good point. But yeah. So now we get to the new stuff now, right?
Oh yeah. The one thing I did want to talk about though, because
talk about
Humble Bundle still there for 6 more days. Now this right here is what we've all been talking about for so long. For $40 right now, you can get Witch Queen, Beyond Light, the Forsaken Pack, the 25th or the 30th anniversary pack, Lightfall, and the Season Pass for $40.
Oh wow. Wow.
But this is only through Humble Bundle. This is only for a limited time.
Limited time. Get it by that.
And again, it's on Humble Bundle. Not everybody even knows that site exists.
That is true.
This is the type of package that you need to put on Steam and consolidate 17 down into 1. And then you can have Final Shape and its thing over here. But you want, just literally make it Destiny 2. They call it the Story So Far Bundle. They've done all the work. This is all you need to do. Just put this on Steam. That's it.
Agreed.
And you say, hey, you get everything that's happened so far in Destiny for $40. That's it.
Yeah.
And you have 3 months to try and catch up on a whole bunch of whatever.
Yeah. I love the marketing, the story so far. Like
they literally they did all the work. It's all right there.
Yeah.
And it's $40. I'm like, that is a good price point because we're done with all the seasons. Nothing's fresh and new. Like, and again, the Forsaken pack still exists.
I know, that's hilarious. We know why. The 40% target why. They got to get this money.
But okay, this goes back to a thing. I have to ask on, and this is again where I would love to see the financials in the books. Be like, how many people are buying the transmog thing? How many people are buying that? And especially now, as the population gets lower, you got to remove friction. You got to remove friction for more new people to come into this thing. Steam, Destiny 2, Forsaken pack. I just want to see how much this still costs right now, just completely on its own. $20, still $20 right now. You want to know what it's rated? Recent reviews, 19 of them. So there's not a lot of people doing this. Mostly negative, 19 reviews. It is rated 36% positive, so mostly negative. Like, you're just pissing. You get people like Travis's friends who come in and they talk to us about their new player experience. You get a pop-up of the story. You get, here's one story mission. Cool, here's the campaign. Now pay us money to play the rest of it. Why is 2-year-old story not free? I mean, and
it's not free.
There are some business decisions you got to make, and then there are some that are going to be a long, and you got to look in front of your nose. You got to look past your nose, and right now they're looking this far. And I know it's a financial business corporate cog's going to put his hat on.
Board is about to be dissolved if they do not reach these targets.
I know.
You're going to get this. It's desperate times right now, brother. I feel
so let's drive people away from it.
If you do not sell, you are gone.
Okay. This
That's
comes.
what we're dealing with now.
No, I totally get
know
it.
the gamer is talking, but this game will not exist in the current structure that it is.
I
And they will not
understand the
have control
board is
over their
afraid of losing.
game.
I get that. But here's the thing.
Okay. We do realize, we do realize the weight of this.
No, I know. Fully do.
Okay.
Here's the
So
discussion.
we're going to eliminate the monetization chance that we have for the player population right now's frustration with this.
No, and here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
The population you have right now,
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know, and this is again, sat there and had a discussion with Chef Andy on the floor of GCX.
Yes,
I'm like,
absolutely.
I want to know. And I asked, and I was like, what I would love, because I do new player stuff. I do things for like people who don't have a lot of information. I would love to know, what are your bounce off points? I'm not in product per se in like web design, but I've got a couple of friends who are. You talk about a funnel. You get to a website. They want to get you to check out and hit pay. That's their goal. How many different pieces do you have to go through to get to that final point? And my question is, where are these fall off points? Do you start out? Is it when the first thing pops up and then it asks for money? God, that's okay. We got to fix that. That's the analytics I would love to see and understand. And this is again the financial piece of what I would love to know. How much are you selling? But again, you are bleeding a player base for a game. Marathon doesn't exist yet. Looking at probably 2025. So you got a year. Do you want to, and again, this is where I'm like, how many people are buying all these little Forsaken packs and stuff? Now, I don't know how long, when I looked up the other website, the pricing is just bad. Final Fantasy is now on Xbox and more competition is going to hit them. Yeah, it's like, they've got away with it for long enough.
Right.
And they've made whatever money they have. They've got a giant new campus and all that stuff. But at some point, there has to be a decision to say, hey, if we do good things for the consumers, and I know that's a stupid thing to say, but this is where I don't know the analytics. If the analytics say we have 20 people buying the Forsaken pack every single day, and
what if the analytics say people are buying this?
If they do, then I am sorry.
And we're going to stop the check this month for the good of the community because we love you guys.
I know. No,
we don't want to pay our rent.
This is the
problem. We love you guys.
So this is the problem with that. I would be curious to see, hey, somebody buys the Forsaken pack. They're like, hey, I got it free. I was told Forsaken was first. I buy this. Then, okay, so they do have some newer people buying that. That's where I want to know, like, what's the overlap, the Venn diagram of new players, and they buy that. How many people are sitting in the middle of that Venn diagram that keep playing? When they realize the $20 that they spend and those 19 Steam reviews, not a lot, by the way, but again,
reviews aren't indicative of actual engagement.
I know. But again, like if most of the ones that do actually review it aren't great, that's a small sign. So it's like, are your practices that you are doing where you make some here, some here, some here, still sending away your player base? And again, and that's the question that is really hard for a lot of businesses to see, is the short-term decision to make a little bit of money and to put a little bit in our pocket now versus are we going to try and build the player base back up, which is something we are struggling with. And as we are a live service game, if we don't keep these players around versus drive them away with pop-ups saying pay money all the time and every little expansion, and you go look when the Humble Bundle doesn't exist, it's $240 to try and play Destiny. You're like, this is a 6-year-old expansion. What are you doing?
I get it. And all I would say is we got to get back to the core of problem, which we learned, which was Lightfall. Lightfall destroyed player sentiment. And now that player sentiment is here, they are all banking on Final Shape to be a high quality product. And to your point, if they're going to make that decision, it has to be in conjunction with Final Shape being good and then this overall structure change for goodwill to say, hey, we've listened, we've actually taken the feedback, we delivered a good product, and now we're going to relax some of these things that we had in place because they were just too oppressive. They were too oppressive to the
Now, what's going to annoy me about that?
What's going on?
How close they do that to Final Shape, because
they're going. You know what's going to happen.
I know. But what you could do right now over the course of the next 3 months is start getting more people into the game, getting more community talk around. 3 months. That's what you got. You got March, April, and May. You got 3 months where you could have these deals out there. It's just indefinitely on sale until Final Shape. Hey, do you want to experience this thing?
Right.
We've got a cinematic in the game now, giving you some background. The whole thing's $40. You like everything we just gave you for 40. then you can jump into final shape and be with everybody else. And you got 3 months of downtime to be able to do that. And then they're going to be like, hey, see these wonderful little analytics that say we make more money if we don't do that? And I'm like, that's fine. But I also want to, you got to dig a little deeper into those analytics and say,
right.
Do you buy, somebody's like, hey, you should probably buy Witch Queen.
Right.
Okay. Well, let me go try and get Stasis. Must purchase. What's this Forsaken thing over here? I need these exotics. Must purchase. Right. How do I get Galahorn? I've heard that's must purchase. When that keeps hitting people in the face anymore, and especially now as there's so much competition for gaming, that's again one of those. But again, not seeing their books, not understanding how much these little nickel and dimes make.
How dire it is.
And I get that, and I get that. But there is a point where I would be really curious to see post the analytics of, hey, we sell this many a day. I'm like, okay, the people who buy those, how long do they stay?
Right.
That's the questions I would be curious, and we will never know that.
Yeah, that's data I'm not privy to. But I think what we got to extrapolate from the Humble Bundle is that this is a sign in the right direction. We have to say that.
Yes.
The fact
I know
it's small, but it's good to see the consolidation of over monetized content actually put in a fair price, and then saying, okay, this is how we should do it. So maybe this is something that they are now internally getting there. That remember, the developers and them would tell them, hey, the community doesn't like this.
Yep.
Hey, guys, and then we saw what happened, the layoffs and all this other stuff, and the target's not reached. So that's how I look at it. I'll say, at least this is giving me an idea that they understand that. And now let's kind of implement that on a mass stage level, especially with Steam, the way the structure is there.
So I feel like I've gone on some rants this podcast. I apologize, everybody.
You're good. You're good.
It's just when I saw this one, I was like, yes, this is an amazing deal, but this is about what it should be right now for everybody. And all that old stuff should easily be a bundle. Like Final Shape's technically not out, so this is your current expansion. All the old stuff should have been there long ago. And we all know that.
I agree. We all know that. Absolutely.
All right. Well, longest podcast in the world is going to keep going. Sorry, everybody. PvP Strike Team update.
Woo.
So since the PvP Strike Team was formed, the bulk of our work has been focused on finding solutions for 5 major issues: maps, rewards, game modes, sandbox issues, and matchmaking. So we are going to be talking about more PvP. So to help with this, we've made some substantial quality of life passes on existing maps. So they've got spawning quality of life pass, spawn trap issues, map spawning quality of life, less spawn trapping. If it's a big map, you spawn more forward. Major tuning of initial spawns, heavy ammo crates, tiebreaker zones. Like, they've actually had the strike team working on each map, diving into the details. How does it play? What feels wrong? Map's too big. You're not going to be running from the back of Disjunction. When you get that back spawn, you're like, it's going to be 30 seconds just for me to do a half-mile jog just to get back into battle. And then you get shot in the head once, and you're like, fuck.
Disjunction is so frustrating for that. Shout out Outsanity. Gift us some memberships.
Yo, Outsanity, what are you doing, man? 5 gifted memberships out there on YouTube. You've got Outsanity, Verbal, Zach, Dramatic, and Sanchez. Enjoy your memberships. Thank you for the YouTube love. Appreciate that. That's fantastic. So they're really going into the nitty-gritty of maps and spawns and timings, and I appreciate that, because sometimes if you do want to jump into PvP, it doesn't feel wonderful to back of Disjunction's probably the worst example, but that is a vibe in and of itself. You're like,
oh yeah, that's the most.
You're just like, nah. I'm like, after that match, you're like, yeah, I'm kind of good. I'm out. Maps. We get maps in May's update.
Let's get it.
Adding 3 new maps to Crucible. Eventide Labs. Europa map.
Wow. We get a map that corresponds with an expansion?
From how many years ago? 3 years ago, we get a map from not Lightfall, not Witch Queen, Beyond Light.
Beyond Light, baby. The long lost map we never got. Let's go. That's how things used to be, me. Remember when the expansion came out, you got a PvP map that corresponded to it?
Yeah, this is a weird concept. We get a Neomuna map. This is actually same relative year. Kind of a little past, but it was a year and about, what is it going to be? A year and 3 months by the time we get the Neomuna map. But that's got to be a record in the past however many days since we've had anything in this game. And then Dissonance is a terraformed pyramid ship. Kind of curious what that means. That might be closer to Final Shape kind of thing. Yeah. Oh,
I'm thinking Road of Nightmares.
Yeah, that's probably true with the Terraform.
Remember the thing? Yep. Terraform the thing? That's Road of Nightmares, baby. We messing around with Nezarec area.
Yeah, so you get 2 for this year. So we're getting there. Rewards. Also PvP rewards.
Now this is where I miss Travis. I was going to get him. Because I love the fact they said it. It's like, yeah. So, actually, let me read this one. Let me get this one.
All you.
This one's for me. Travis, I wish you was here because I was going to be very messy with you. Rewards. We want Crucible to feel at least as rewarding as PvE. Wow. I wonder who said that.
It is a looter. Shooter. What one of those words is what you have shooting, but you also have what's the other word? Oh, looting. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because someone used to
I love your term. It's not anything I ever thought I would use in this situation, but your use of the word messy, is this right now.
No, this is completely messy.
Oh, absolutely.
He can't defend himself right now, so I'm going in too.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's worse when he's not here to be like, no.
That's what I could control.
This podcast would be 3 hours long if Travis was here tonight.
We'd be battling right now. Yeah. So shout out to the PvP team that kind of sees what Cog has been saying for so long here on The Last Word. We want Crucible to feel at least as rewarding as PvE. With post-game drops on par with strike activities in form of rewarding materials and activity-specific loot. We also want PvP players to have more consistent methods of being rewarded with build crafting materials, ascended shards, that this has led us to make the following changes, which are currently available in-game. So currently, we got the end of match rewards, more glimmer, enhancement score, Crucible. I have seen that in Trials when I've been playing. Double reward boosters for PvP. Competitive already live. We got the weapon focusing, and then we got the second tier, the competitive weekly challenge that also awards ascendant allies. We're also looking to improve our in-game rewards. While some players may choose to play only a few competitive games per week, we like to reward players who continue to remain active. In competitive, we'll be offering 2 major incentives for continued success. Now, here is the big one, E. Artifice armor in competitive Crucible. Before we even continue.
Now, some people would also like to see this in Trials, like Trials just drop 1 too.
Yes,
I would say that should be there, but
how are we feeling? How are we feeling about this?
I mean, for the PvP people, it's amazing because Artifice armor being buried in dungeons, master, it is in master raids, right? Like, okay,
master raids and dungeons. Those are the only ones I know.
Yeah. So yes, of course, yeah, absolutely. Give you rewards. Let somebody who goes high level and do all these things in PvP be able to get armor that is equal to a thing. So if a beast PvP person and beast PvE person go excel in their activities, they both can have the loot that is generally equivalent outside of the gear that you get in specific activities. Facts. Absolutely. And as Artifice armor is basically only stat related, and when stats mean probably more in PvP than they do in PvE, depending on what you're doing outside of like rebuilds. But a lot of people are, I mean, you're down to seconds in PvP for who's going to get the super first. Do I have that 1 grenade on reload? Is my shield back just in time? Like, stats make a difference there. So no, 100% probably should also put a piece in the chest, as the Trials chest, because you have enough RNG between where the stats are going to be distributed, how high the stat roll is. If you go flawless, you damn sure should at least get 1 piece and be like, hey, I got a slightly better one than I already grinded out in PvE. Cool. But right now that's not there. But yeah, sure, put it in comp too. Not arguing, believe me, but I just throw it in Trials too.
And let's be honest, it's kind of needed comp because comp has been so dead. You know what I mean? Like it kind of needed it. And I like it also because even though we're not going to get back to the days of the mountaintop and the recluse, we're getting something in the mode that's worth the grind, that's worth continued engagement. So provided these Artifice armors are not
good
57s.
Stats. Oh,
and not 57.
No, didn't they say it? I think I read it too. Okay. This high stat armor, I hate that that's a vague definition. High stat for me is a minimum of 64.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and if you go through and you do comp and you actually spend your time in comp and you get a 64, you could get a 64 that has 30 mobility and just chunk it in the trash. Yeah. So yeah, you got enough RNG in there, throw it at them. I am fine with that.
No doubt. Another major change, they're going to increase the drop rates chances for exotic weapon catalysts. on victory. So like Artifice Armors, you get a meaningful way to upgrade the Guard's power while
That's just the chance for them to like drop, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I feel the drop rates are low. I play
Yeah.
a lot of PvP, and I don't be seeing a lot of stuff
Yeah.
drop. I felt like in D1 it was actually a little bit more. I mean, not D1, but early in D2. So you got that, and now they're adding you said a third tier competitive weekly challenge. So it's a whole new tier, right? For what you call it, the Artifice Armor. The tier will be unlocked for all players who reach a gold rank 3 above each season. The tier will require match victories instead of completions. And then upon completion of the challenge, each victory thereafter will have a chance to drop Artifice Armor, and the drop rates will increase alongside your rank. Competitive matches will also have an increased chance to drop exotic weapon catalysts on victories. Now, trials, they get into this whole effort versus reward. Now, these are big, man. We're going with as far as the flawed card rewards.
Yeah, so the trials passages.
Yeah, the passages, man. So again, currently live. We already know we get the 50% chance to get trials weapons on wins. I have seen this in effect. That has been happening.
Yeah, flawed card rewards as well, like 5 and
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Now these are the big ones. Passage of Ferocity. So get your trials passages out, y'all. If you have not been flawless for the week, losses after 3 wins will reset you back to 3 wins instead of flawing your card. How we feel
if
about
you
Ferocity?
can get, dude, I mean, trials is obviously a shell of what it used to be, and Travis would probably agree with that. But if you get more people that will stick in it and be like, "Oh, I'm back down to 3," but if you at least you get to that 3 point, is Ferocity where you get the double win? Is that the, I can't remember, or is that Forgiveness or something?
Forgiveness. I know Forgiveness is the one. Yeah, I think Ferocity might be the double win.
Like if you get like your third, it counts for 2 or something. I forget how that way. If that's the one that works. Yeah, how much I play trials.
Yeah, you can tell I just use Mercy, so I wasn't even using.
Yeah,
that's all I was using.
I never cared about actually going to the lighthouse, so I probably did this one because if I ever got that, like even if it was wins or losses, it would always just be one. But no, the fact that you get partway there, and then you can come back and try again for your first time, like. I mean, at this point, you're just giving more people a chance and still not knocking them all the way back to the bottom of the hill. I forget which Greek discussion god version. Rolling the stone up the hill. Now you don't have to start at the bottom. Yeah.
Now this is the big one.
Somebody in chat will have their knowledge of
the name.
all that stuff.
I forget.
Sisyphus? That actually sounds right.
I think it's
I watched
Sisyphus,
Percy recently. Sisyphus. Yep. 3 Geeks.
Yeah, shout out 3 Geeks. He's on it. So now, passage of persistence. This one's huge. Losses following a win will remove the win from your card. Consecutive losses do not remove additional wins. Getting the 7 wins grants you a drop of the weekly adept weapon, regardless of how many losses you have taken. So the passage works like a trailing backstop. Once you have at least 1 win recorded on the passage, a loss will remove the most recent win instead of flawing it. Since consecutive losses will not remove additional wins, winning 2 games in a row adds a permanent win to the card, and win streaks longer than 2 add additional permanent wins. You can only go flawless on this passage if you do not have a win removed. Once a win has been removed, you can no longer get flawless using this passage, but you could still earn a roll of the weekly adept weapons. And before we talk about it, I don't know if you saw the Destiny account today. They actually gave an update to this because it seems like there seems to be some confusion. So let me pull that up because the Destiny, if you look at the Destiny Twitter account, they I guess people were asking about that and they went even more in depth. Let me just pull it up for y'all guys. Sorry about that. I remember seeing it. So we got, I think it's in the replies because people were going crazy. Oh man, I can't find it now. Please, I had it. It's gone. I can't find it. But they gave more clarity for it. If someone remember what it was, what the actual link or the tweet. So they were asking more in depth about it, and it's pretty much clarification that obviously the flawless stop and stuff the trailing backstop. But while I find that, what is your initial thoughts on the passage of persistence? You muted. You muted E.
Sorry about that. No, I mean yes. Like if somebody is willing to stick it out, the name says it all. If you are persistent, you will eventually get yourself up to that point where you can get a weapon. Now, do you get to go to the lighthouse and get the full smorgasbord? No. But if your goal is trying to get a drop of the adept weapon to unlock the adept weapon, so then you can actually try and spend engrams on it, which are not cheap. It's usually like 5 or 10 engrams or something crazy. But if you can get to that point and get you an adept weapon by sticking with it, especially as a solo player, that is somebody who will play more. And if you want people in the playlist, this is exactly what it's for.
bro, this is so me. I'm look, I'm never gonna be the trials god. I'm not gonna be Travis, but I'm the person that I would currently play trials in the way that I'm just grinding to get the 7 wins. I don't even care about the flawless like anymore sometimes. I'm just trying to grind to get the 7, try to get my main thing is getting the weapon so I have the ability to focus on it, right? That was my main thing. And we got to think about the health of the casual base. The majority is just not going to the lighthouse. We just got to keep it real.
No.
But if you give this guy who says, yo, I'll play, and you just giving me a loss, because let's be honest, and I know the hardcore may not like this, but it's like that is going to keep a casual in it because it's demoralizing when you get that card flawed. Sometimes you can't even get past, you get in a bad stretch, you can't get past two or three wins one week. It gets like that. So I think this is great. I love the way this is designed. I love the fact that it earned you a roll of the weekly adept weapon. I like the fact that it still doesn't give you a flawless, right? You still won't get that, but at least you get the weapon.
But you get some loot. You don't have quite the prestige, but you get some loot, but you
Mhm.
can start grinding out and focusing for. Yep. Nope.
This is me.
I see no problem with that. We're
c-
also adding
consistency.
additional awards for
Yeah.
match completions by 3-person fire teams. This is another thing. The 3-person population. I don't know if you saw the tweet from Destiny Bulletin or whoever it was. The 3-person population is
Mhm.
tiny.
Got
You
it.
got
Oh, I found the
solos,
tweet.
you got solos,
Oh,
and then you got
yeah.
duos, because duos are
Yes.
basically double matching because
Mhm.
it's easier than playing threes where people are stacked. They're basically
Mhm.
dodging 3 stacks.
Yeah, I found the
Um,
tweet now. I found it.
I'm looking to
Mhm.
clarify a few things. Passage or progress on this card, like all other passages, is reset weekly. Yep. When we said permanent in the TWID, we mean those wins could not be removed by losses. Patches of persistence has a trailing backstop. Get 2 wins, you can't drop below 1. Get 3 wins, can't drop below 2. Yeah. So if you get
Yeah.
to 6, you're gonna have to trying to think how high you can get and lose. So if you get to
Right.
6 and lose, you would go back to 5. So you'd have to
Mhm.
get to 5 and win twice, right?
Right.
That's okay. Yeah.
And then they said another added, they said you could reset your card and do this passage again for another adept reward, but it doesn't
Oh,
unlock adept farming the same way going flawless
so you
does.
can't farm engrams for it at. Got it.
That's
I
the
mean, you're still
clarification.
getting some. It gives you a chance to get a drop you wouldn't get, but you still
Mhm.
need to get to the lighthouse to be fully rewarded. It's an
Yeah.
interesting balance, and this is like
Yeah.
this is the stuff that you have to give him credit for, because this in the previous TWID when I was saying,
Mhm.
would I go about the idea of rewarding critical shots,
Mhm.
rewarding accuracy, rewarding skill, and then body shots being less with the health and the critical? This is
Mhm.
another thing where it's like I wouldn't have come up with these changes, and I don't know how many people I know who would come up with these changes,
Mhm.
but I think they're pretty good from what I
I
mean, you
think
gotta
they,
see them in action, but from what I'm
yeah,
reading, and again,
love.
looking through Twitter feedback as well, I mean, when somebody like Shadow
Yeah, I saw Shadow. He's
says
popping off.
excellent TWAB, like,
Yeah,
I mean, as
loved
much
it.
as some of these people love PvP and have very specific thoughts about it, when
Mhm.
they're happy, they did something right. Like the
I mean,
people that are cooking on this stuff right now, they're cooking.
yeah, I mean, it almost feels like having a dedicated PvP team has its advantages. That's kind of awesome, right? You can
Did
make
you
these
have to
really.
go there?
This is like
You don't
cool, but
need to
let's get.
call out that.
I'm
That
being messy. I'm being messy.
that's yeah, you're Jeff Grubbin like all day.
Yeah, yeah. But here's the thing, and this is the part I really wish Trav was here for, because I would love his feedback, which is the next thing about the 3-person fire team. We
Yeah.
know Trav is team 3-person purity of trials,
Yeah, and the population
and
sucks too, so he's got 2 arguments for it.
he's got 2 arguments, right, against it, because he's like, look, everybody's doing solos now, then the duos. So now they're saying, although they said they want to add rewards for match completions for these 3-person fire teams and trials, although you do not need to win to earn these rewards, they are participation gated. So simply jumping off the map or sitting AFK is what will disqualify you from getting them.
I actually
So we get,
appreciate that.
I love that. So we get a 50% chance to drop the non-adept trials weapon weekly reward. 50% chance to get the Trials Engram drop and additional Trials reputation. That's big for more Engram. So the goal of these changes is to encourage players to team up with friends. With losses being less of a punishment, players can have more fun and be well rewarded while doing so. And I
Yep.
guess for me, this is big because, with all the changes, and once they added the solo pool at one point, we have to admit, even though it benefited us, and we loved it, the Travises of the world who want the traditional
Yeah.
experience, the pool's gonna be smaller for them in matchmaking, and it becomes different. And I think now this incentivizes people to say, okay, you know what? If we team up, we get more rewards for actually playing the mode.
Yeah.
And it's
The biggest thing
initial
is it
intent.
enough? That's
True.
the difference, is like, is it still a light population in a
Right.
time where the game is low population? That's going to be hard. This would be different
Mhm.
at final shape launch versus right now. At times with low population, is it enough to go in? Additional 50% chance to drop the non-adept trials weapon reward, 50% chance to get a trials engram, and additional trials reputation. Is that enough? Go through the headache of threes
Mhm.
and like work your way through what is still potentially a small population. Hopefully it goes up some. Or, and again, or is the benefit of easy flawlesses with duos to knock off a bunch of solo people? Is that easier to do? Some people may
Right.
do a mix of both. They may do, hey, let me knock out my flawless. We can try some threes, see how it goes and stuff. I can see. But the biggest thing is the juice worth the squeeze? And that's only
Yeah.
something those people will determine after
Right.
some time testing it. That's,
Yeah.
and again, it is a good incentive to have. They do realize there's an issue with the threes. They're trying to incentivize it,
Yes.
and that's a good thing. Is it enough? Only time will tell that one. That's all.
Yeah. My initial perception is I like it. I like it. That would incentivize. All right, let's at least get in there. Getting more chances for rewards in trials to me is always a good thing. And I've always said, I want to stand on my argument. I wish that's what, even though I wish Travis here, is that this is a loot based game.
Yeah.
And there's people who are just never gonna get some of these trials weapons because they're just too intimidated and getting curb stomped all the time. So at least it's a sign, it's a pointing in the right direction. And I to your point though, we got to see how the community responds to it. But it seems like for the most part, people. I think I saw 5,000 watts say she really loved it. I've been looking at the PvP. Cool Guy seems to be positive. Like, most of the PvP community seems really upbeat about these. But we got more stuff.
Yeah.
So we got
Okay. So there's a bunch about game modes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to go into all of that little
Yeah,
detail.
yeah.
I mean, if you are a PvP person, go read about your game modes. That's
Mhm.
totally fine. That's just a whole lot of nuance that we've already had a long podcast.
Yeah.
Sandbox issues. Talked about the player health. Talked about the abilities.
Mhm.
I feel like this is kind of a rehash of what we just talked
Yeah,
about
that's
from
what
last
we
week.
just talked about. Yep, we did this already.
Matchmaking details. We will be updating our playlist tooltips to correctly display which matchmaking styles used for each mode. I mean, that's not great. It doesn't matter, but that's fine. We have several changes planned for ongoing experimentation with snaked draft lobby balancing aimed at improving how it handles fire teams. I know lobby balancing is a thing, so keep trying to make it right. I don't know if it does it, but maybe our matchmaking systems do not individually force players to a 1.0 kill death ratio or a 50% win ratio. They do not intentionally allow players to dominate for a few games, then place them into games where they get destroyed. They do not sacrifice connection quality or skill for any other filter. Our three most common matchmaking systems, outlier protection, rank-based, and open skill, all keep average connection quality generally within about the same bounds. In fact, outlier protection and ranked-based have, on average, slightly better connection than open skill.
Interesting.
Due to increased time, they remain in optimal connection bracket while searching for matches. So now that we've gone over what they don't do, how exactly do different matchmaking systems work? So I did have that number right. It was -1,000 to 1,000.
-1,000, yeah.
To understand that, we first talk about skill and skill details. So the skill range is -1,000 to 1,000, wherever you are on that bell curve and bar graph. So games with deltas of less than 500 will generally feel competitive. So if you're -250 to 250, that's going to generally feel competitive as a group. With few or no players outclassed, there will be a difference in performance between highest and lowest players. Colloquially, we can refer to this as the sweat zone.
Sweat zone, I like that.
There. And again, if you're 1,500 to 2 or 500 to 1,000, there will be some really good ones. There will be some decent ones, but in the overall average, depending on, and again, if you do that with the snake draft, that could help. With deltas greater than 500 and less than 1,000, there will be a noticeable skill variance, usually enough to avoid games from feeling too, quote, sweaty. Some players will be outclassed, but it is unlikely there will be people who match who are completely in over their heads. You don't want a -1,000 pairing with 1,000. This is obviously far from that. At deltas larger than 1,000, so this is -501 to 501. You're going to put two people together like that. There will likely be one or more players who get few or no kills the entire game, while contributing double-digit deaths. We refer to this as the stomp zone.
Stomp zone, I like that name.
These experiences result in some of the largest negative sentiment spikes we see in our game, and are the heaviest drivers for player departures.
Yes, that is true.
So ranked based matchmaking.
Ooh.
In our most recent poll of rank based matching stats, here are numbers. 67% of ranked based matches start with converted rank deltas of less than 300, with all players within 3 minor ranks. 26% of rank based matches start with converted rank deltas of more than 300, less than 500, with all players within 5 major ranks. 4% of ranked based matches start with a converted rank of more than 500 and less than 600. 3% is more than 600. So if you look at 67 and 28%, you're talking about 93% of matches are within 3 to 5 ranks for competitive matchmaking. That means they are generally matching you pretty close to your rank, depending on the population. They're going outside of your rank only 1 out of every 3, and then outside of 1 or 2 outside of that 7% of the time.
Yeah. Right.
So generally their matchmaking does a decent job. Now I don't know how connection plays into how that feels, but as for the matches that they have, 93% of them being within that 500, less than 500 apart. And when they say the less than 500 part is generally going to feel competitive, overall it means they're matchmaking for comp numerically. I don't have the feel. Numerically,
I don't know about the feel, but numerically,
sounds like it should be generally competitive. Not too far outclassed. There will be some difference.
Right. Shout out to them for the transparency on stuff that we never used to know before.
Yeah, no, I appreciate this. Open skill matchmaking. This is CBMM, which everybody would love. That everything always was all the time. Yeah, here are the numbers from our most recent poll of open skill matchmaking stats. 2% of open skill matches start with skill deltas of less than 500. 2% of your matches 2%. Feel competitive.
Wow.
2.
Wow.
52% of open skill matches start with deltas of more than 500 less to 1,000. This is when you're going to have their definition of 500 less to 1,000. These avoid games from feeling too sweaty. So that's about half. The other half is the skill delta of more than 1,000. This is where everybody's always going to go back and forth forever on the idea of connections. They are important so you don't deal with lag versus skill stomping and crapping all over the little guy who's trying to start out. If you just do open skill, you have the point where you're in the stomp zone and you don't feel great about playing your matches. But on the other side, some people don't enjoy being sweaty. So somewhere the medium has to come in where there's connection focus, some skill focus, and you widen it for, and that's always the thing. It's like in comp, it should be close. Like the way they describe that.
Yeah.
Having 93% of your matches be within 500 skill rating and like within 3 ranks.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of what you got to aim for comp. But then if you do just like a global playlist like Control, the brackets can be wider, some ups, some downs. You might get a little stompage, but the outlier protection needs to be there. Like if you're able to, if your population connection can manage it, keep it under 1,000. Because if you get above that, it feels like somebody's getting crapped on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The loose skill-based matchmaking, some samples of loose skill-based matchmaking in Season 22. 51% of matches started with skill deltas of less than 500, and 45% of matches started with skill deltas of more than 500, less than 1,000. So if it's loose skill-based, 96% of your matches are in those 2 zones that are not the Stomp Fest. Some a little sweatier, some a little less sweatier.
Right.
Outlier protection. They've got those in there. Fire team-based matchmaking. God, this is a long TWID.
It's a long one. Wow, Jesus.
Lobby balancing. They did mention they're going to try to go to a bit of a snake draft. Something just to mix up the lobby balancing. Because, I mean, I've seen the ones where, like, True Vanguard has, like, 47 kills, but he's on the losing team because he can't carry the whole team. Like, those are... Right. You got to kind of mix up the lobby balancing. You got accessibility, console UI updates. Okay, Prophecy weapon update. I got to see this.
Allah.
They are removing Last Breath Auto, Long Walk Sniper, Swift Verdict Sidearm. That's fine. I don't really care about any of those. I think they're like all kinetic.
Yeah, I don't care about it.
A new origin trait called Crossing Over. Makes sense for Prophecy with the light and dark. These weapons have increased range and handling for the top of the magazine, while rounds from the bottom half of the magazine deal increased damage. So it's like... What is the bottom half of the mag bonus damage clip that exists already?
Oh, was it... I know. Like, what is it? Reserve something? Is it something reserves?
Caiatl know faster than we do.
Caiatl know faster than we do. Yeah.
High impact reserves. That's what it is.
High impact reserves. Yeah, I knew it was something reserves.
Yeah. So you got high impact reserves on the bottom half, still there as an origin trait. Now I wonder if high impact reserves can drop on these weapons.
Yeah, that'll be.
Because
I
that'd
would probably
be
say not.
spicy.
Yeah.
That'd be spicy.
I would probably say that they won't be in the perk pool for these weapons.
Oh, come on. Let's
No
just break PvP with the new weapons.
Yeah. But range and handling at the top.
Range and handling at the top. So there's incentive to play through both sides of the magazine, especially you get benefits for PvP for range and handling. And then if you do get low in the magazine, you might get a chance to finish, like kind of clean up the kill.
Yep.
So they are adding the Prosecutor auto rifle, Precision Arc, the Adjudicator submachine gun, primary, well, yeah, of course, primary, Precision Kinetic, and then Relentless Pulse. What?
Precision frame autos. Those are what, 450? What are those?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay. So it's an arc 450. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You got a Kinetic Precision submachine gun. Is that 600s? Are they precision?
You're going to check.
And then high impact pulses. I know those are like your 340s. Damage changed from kinetic to strand for relentless. They also updated the judgment hand cannon to be adaptive frame from kinetic to stasis. Darkest before, rapid fire. Damage changed from arc to solar. Sudden death shotgun. Updated encounter drops. Phalanx Echo, the cube, the Cal Echo, judgment hand cannon. Oh, those are the drops of where you get them. Got it. So, yeah, prophecy is going to be the final wish. So I will probably actually have to put a prophecy guide together here in the next couple of weeks. Just because there will be incentive to run it. There'll be incentive to go for the new loot. And this thing is... Isn't this coming soon? Yeah, 7.3.5. So this is March.
It's March.
Which, yeah, that will be... Because this is week 4. 5 will be next week with Final Fantasy. 6 will be the... So yeah, that is... Yeah, prophecy, new gear, all coming together. So yeah, I got to work on my guide before that.
Yeah, a lot of damage type changes.
Yep. You got some contest winners, player support, art, movie, all that fun. That is a lot of Destiny.
Yeah, it was a lot of Destiny. We haven't talked this much.
But I will say, for a PvP community that has been neglected for way, way, way too long, that this is the most that we have probably seen about PvP in depth, some transparency, some good changes, some happy people on Twitter. You don't see that very often for Twitter.
Very rare.
Yeah, the Twitter sphere is not wanting to strangle the PvP team. They're actually cooking. That is admirable to be able to do it in not that long of a time. That's legit. So, and it's a free to play dungeon. That's why it's there too. Yep. So, yeah, overall, PvP is getting a lot of work, and we got plenty of time before we get to final shape and whatever else is coming with that. Right now, if you're making the PvP people happy, they will kind of stick around, experiment a little more with your game in the interim. If you want to try Destiny, and for some reason, I don't know how you found this podcast and don't play Destiny, but if for some reason you know either of us, you hear about us, the Humble Bundle is for 6 more days. I had to look it up. 6 more days, or 5 days and 23 hours, as we're recording this. So by the time you get there, probably 5 days. $40 for everything. Yeah, I mean, honestly, for comp, for Artifice Armor, might be a reason to jump in, see where you can land.
Yeah, listen, March, was it March 5th? What's that date?
Yep, March 5th.
That's
March 22nd, I'm not going to be around for too much Destiny, but...
Right. But March, this is a huge update.
Yeah, these are big. That's a lot happening.
Massive for the PvP community, massive for trials, massive for the incentivization of our comp. A lot of these weapon changes I felt made sense. And then obviously we're going back to less abilities and more focused on primary gunplay, which again I don't have too much of a problem with. I think it's all for the better, and I do think that we got to see how it settles out in the meta and stuff like that. But I do think these are really strong changes. I was really excited when I was reading this TWID or whatever, because I was like, all right, this is a step in the right direction fundamentally. And let's get back also to rewarding and incentivizing PvP the same way you incentivize PvE Nightfall's Grandmasters. In that respect, the PvE community deserves that level of respect based on their investment.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest, and I think the PvP community will have a lot of testing to do. But I think that gives them something to look forward to, and they haven't had that in a long time. And this is
and maps.
3 maps.
Wow.
3 maps at the same time before final shape. Heavy.
Not too shabby, guys. I like it. Keep pushing. I like it.
Well, thank you guys for sticking through one of our longer ones in a while. I got to tell you, because I know I started with a bit of a story. We got a lot of gifted memberships. Thank you, Outsanity. Thank you, 3 Geeks. You guys were very generous in here, sharing a lot of love. Thank you guys for being here for the rough moments. They come and go. You know, you get the waves of sadness and tears, then you get to smile about the happy times and all of that. But also thank you guys for being here for everything that we talk about, from hour and a half of Destiny and a whole bunch of other stuff. Is Destiny 2 cooked, chat?
Yes.
I will say the PvP strike team cooked. They really did.
Yeah, they did their thing. They did their thing. And I just love the reaction for the PvP, community. Just to see them kind of the juices flowing, like, okay, to see them excited is big, because we know it's been almost 2 years of just, saying trash and everything. Oh, shout out to 3 Geeks.
3 Geeks, hashtag dog noises fixes everything. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Salute.
Yeah, she was Huskies, by the way, not known to be guard dogs. Raya barked at everything outside.
Oh, yeah. She
was on it. So it was the OG guard dog.
Oh, yeah. She made sure, she was like, look, make sure you ain't messing with E or something.
Yeah, you get near this door, you're gonna hear some stuff.
You're gonna hear about us.
I'm gonna train the other 2 to do it too, because now they all do it.
Oh, they all do it now.
Midnight, of course, is now the loudest, and also he just like screams at stuff. He's the hilarious. He's a whole. You'll meet it. He's a whole character.
I haven't met Midnight.
No,
yeah.
At some point, you'll have to come down and experience a real steak dinner without steak sauce. And then
without the A1.
Where my wife and I went for we went for Valentine's. We never celebrate on the day anymore. It's never worth going to a restaurant on that day. Just pick a little around it.
Yeah.
12-ounce filet just melts, dude. You can tell it's like literally just like salt and pepper, clean, good crust, medium rare, maybe medium rare plus, depending on where it's at. And just, man, that filet, it just melts. Just melts.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna have to learn about this thing without, this properly prepared steak thing.
I mean, you're talking dry aged for 3 or 4 weeks, however long they do it for. Then you get a good crust on it. Are you a ribeye, a filet, strip? What's your choice? I mean, you got to pick one.
I mean, probably filet and strip probably would be my 2. Ribeye I could do is that I'm not biased towards steak. Like I'm not like so.
No, but I mean, some people are like, I like the filet a little more because it's more tender and I don't have to mess with the fat. But ribeye, there is some fat you kind of got to work around. But the flavor from the fat does actually add. So everybody's.
I would say I'm biased against ribeye. I don't like dealing with the fat as much.
Fair. There is one part of the ribeye, and I know it's the out, because you have the bone that they're usually cut off, and you got the ribeye over here, and then there's like kind of a little layer of fat, and then it's the outer section of a ribeye.
Ooh.
That's the part of a ribeye that melts, and when that little outside part of a ribeye is cooked the way that, like, that's the part that's like, that'll compete with a filet, because it falls apart, but it's also got like the marbling and flavor. Yeah.
No doubt.
Yep. So, and then lobster mac and cheese and lobster bisque.
Yes, let's go.
Or no, crab mac and cheese they do. Lobster is a different place, but yeah, crab mac and cheese, lobster bisque. And dude, the loaf of bread, so crumbly, but just and like yeah.
Yeah, we got to go to this
glass of wine. I had a cocktail that was bizarre too. Normally I do like they actually make a really good lemon drop. It's kind of where I started getting them. You can give me a hard time. I like lemon drops, so be it. But I do. I've always like first drink I had when I met my wife was a pomegranate margarita, so she knew what she was getting into.
She knew what time it was.
So this one was called Pear a Dice Found, and it's spelled Pear. So it was Wheatley vodka, spiced pear, so you had kind of like cinnamon pear kind of flavor, blackberry, lemon juice, rosemary petals, and orange bitters. And it was like this layered thing where it was like a little sweet with the blackberry and lemon up front. You had like kind of the cinnamon pear in the back.
Nice.
Pull it away with the gifted sub as well. Whiskey sour. Okay, so that is the thing I will tell you right now. Everybody will tell me, be like, I don't like whiskey because for me, it's the burn. Like whiskey for me, when it follows a burn, and vodka usually can be masked. Like if you make a lemon drop you're gonna taste a little alcohol, but most of the time you're not going to. And then margaritas, those are my other.
Oh, those are the king.
We've shared the giant marg.
We've shared many a margarita.
Many a margarita. So
We have competition now with the Callus one. And,
Oh, I think
GCX.
I drank it faster, dude. That wasn't. I think I won
I
that
think
one.
you cheated this year. I think this year you did cheat on me, but I'm gonna take the L graciously.
We can go out here to a Mexican restaurant. I will happily drink margaritas with you, and you're gonna lose
let's
that
do it.
battle.
Oh, let's do it.
All right,
I
come on
love that,
down.
man.
Steak dinner
Travis-
on one night,
Yeah.
and then
Oh, yeah,
margaritas on
the
another.
margarita. Oh,
Yeah.
We'll set it up because I think I actually got to go to Texas for something
You,
soon.
yeah, you got to
I'll
get
go
down
there.
here. I also
Yeah,
got to
I gotta get
eventually
back
get
down
up
there.
your way, but that's a whole different
Yes,
vacation.
like when that's coming. Like y'all got to get to NY. Come on now.
Yeah.
I got to get out of here.
All right. A pickleback shot. Never in my life am I going to do a pickleback shot. By the way, Danfinity sitting here raiding with 70 people. You are coming in at the end of the show. So thank you for sharing your community. I know Danfinity, we were talking about. I told you Raya passed. Been sad for a couple days. Definitely going in and out of crying. We will get that talk that we want to because Danfinity was talking about kind of like covering variety and branching away from Destiny. I was like, been doing a lot of that. We can definitely have a lot to talk about. So that might be a 2-hour show as well at some point.
Salute.
I do not like pickles. I hate the smell. I think the taste is worse. I probably would have ketchup before I would have a pickle.
Jesus, we got to work on you. Pickles are so good.
Pickles are not good.
Jesus.
I will say, Danfinity, the distractions do help. But yeah, first couple of days, it's like Tuesday we were talking, so it's rough. Pickles are the key to happiness. Not mine. Yes. Pickles are the key to my sadness.
Shout out to geeks. That's funny.
Yeah, pickle. No, okay, I will tell you. I've never liked the smell of pickles. I can smell them across the table. I can pick them up that bad. When I worked at a movie theater, you know, they sold like the full dill pickle that some people would eat.
The full dill. Yeah.
So I worked at the concession like area, so I had to go in the back in the big bucket of pickles, pick them up with the tongs, put them in, and I was like, I could get through that, but I still didn't like it. One time, pickle slipped, landed in the pickle juice, covered me in pickle juice. I was this close to throwing up. I was so close to throwing up. It was so close. Now, Danfinity, I will tell you another thing. Apparently, this podcast will never end. Sorry, Cog.
Yeah, well, now we good.
When I worked at different job, but more of a corporate environment, kind of an office structure, there was a point in the break room, it was kind of a central area. Somebody from like their garden brought a whole bunch of fresh dill.
Okay.
I literally got a headache from it. I kid you not.
This got to be mental, bro.
No,
like only.
No, I would walk into the lobby and I was like, oh, and I was like, and then I would just leave the lobby and go to my office. Not there. Maybe I have a dill issue. Maybe. Yeah, dilly issue. Now everybody wants to go have some pickles. Just go to like Twisted Root. See, my wife will go to Twisted Root, will order the burgers. She'll go up to the little pickle bar and come back with her little bucket of pickles and sit in the garden.
I love her. Yes, serenade that. Let's go.
Twisted Root has good fries, but no, I don't need pickles in my life. I'm good. Kosher pickles are the way. No dill and aren't boiled.
Shout out to kosher. Yeah.
Fried pickles I've seen. Cog used to ILP podcast.
So. Oh yeah, this I was like 2.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like,
no.
As later in the night as you are. Now, granted, you stay up late now.
True, but I do gotta eat.
Yeah, you usually gotta eat. So, all right. Well, long episode. Hopefully, you all enjoyed this one. Thank you all for being here through what I'm going through and just supporting. You guys are great. A lot of really good games to play. Got some PvP excitement coming up. Destiny's gonna keep cooking. And I will say, if you think there's not going to be anything after Final Shape, I don't believe it. Yeah. So they're still working on stuff. It will be. Marathon's not a guarantee either. Pacific Drive is very fun. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like 14 hours in, and it's a loop that works for me. Not for everybody, but it's working so far. So I'm like 14 hours in. I'm in the mid zone. A little chaotic. You got any crazy news coming up? Like another guest podcast everywhere? You just gonna have yourself all over the place?
Yeah, we got a guest. We got I believe Genki from Japan, really cool content creator based out in Tokyo. So we'll have him out there. Nice. We try to get the Final Fantasy, 7 rebirth remake, train going. So we'll be talking to him this Sunday in the Realm. Defining Duke is out. Check that out. Me and Maddie. And then I was kind of promoting one of our older interviews that me and Maddie did with Josh Sawyer from Pentiment. Now that Pentiment is on multi-platform, we didn't even get into all of that today, all that craziness of the games coming on PlayStation and Switch and stuff like that. But great interview. If you could check that out, I retweeted it early on my timeline. Go check that out. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Just getting ready. I think we got another month before PAX and Sacred 300, where we do a live show in New York City. But so I'm doing a lot of prep for that stuff. But other than that, game wise, I'm gonna start. I got to get back on Destiny to do I got to do my wishes this week, and I just
Yeah, they nerfed those, so yeah, you're probably better to have waited. You're
cool. Fine. But this week is Blind Well, so I got to do Blind Well.
Yeah.
Did they nerf that?
It's probably less than it was. I don't know if we
Okay.
knew what the data mining was. I'd have to look, but I think stuff is less than it was. Like even when it said
Cool.
I needed 500 lost sector kills or whatever, it was like 2 lost sectors. It was like 160. So things just count weird. So I wouldn't worry too much.
Cool. No, it's been
3 heroic ones. Make sure it's gun kills though, not ability.
Oh, gun kills.
Take a machine gun. Probably a good idea.
It sucks that your fire team we don't get the credit.
Yeah. Well, they can't win all of them, but yeah.
It is what it is. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
For me, yeah, working on. So I will be probably streaming a little bit because now some of these embargoes are up. So I do want to play more Nightingale. Probably finish that one. I may get to play a little bit of something for early March, and then later in March, obviously a couple big things are coming. But yeah, for now, a little bit of streaming, and again, still trying to cover. So if you guys want to support the variety content on the channel, helps a ton. But yeah, episode 285. Travis is enjoying his world of NDA stuff, I'm sure. But when he gets back, we'll catch up with him next week. And thank you to everybody for everything. You guys are awesome, and we keep coming back. We're 15 away from 300, which is bonkers, but
300.
We're getting there.
Yeah, man.
Cog, thanks for everything, bud.
You're welcome, bud. Thank you. And like I said, we love you, E. We know how tough this was as a community. I'm glad everybody came out and showed us love. And Raya is definitely missed, will not be forgotten.
Never.
And yeah, we know how important this week was.
All right, everybody. You guys are awesome. Have a great one. And for episode number 285, it has been The Last Word.
Last Word.